week in the Saudi Arabian desert brings with it the start of a brand new tournament. This time we're here to find out which country is the best in the world at FIFA in this, the 2023 FIFAe Nations Cup. Again, we have 24 2v2 teams who have spent months trying to qualify for this very day and be in with a shot at eternal FIFA glory. And this week we have some household names to bring you, including the likes of former world champion and local hero MS Dossery, the Iceman Nicholas 99 FC, and we'll see if Anders can win his second world title in as many weeks. But if he's to do that, he has to take down the Brazilians who won this very title 12 months ago. Well, the South Americans brought the energy to Copenhagen last year, and they're here this year with a new look side, but I'm sure they're going to be bringing the party when they enter the arena. Well, welcome then to week 2 here. This time, we're about to get things going in this, the FIFAe Nations Cup for 2023. We're so excited for this one, as last week was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Well, welcome then to the studio. We have some great guests, as always. They're back as well. Mike Labelle is here, Brandon Smith, and August Rosemeyer as well. Guys, welcome back. We've had one day off. We're refreshed, we're revitalized, and I'm saying I'm ready to go. Mike, are you ready to go?
My energy's in the right place. This is one of my favorite competitions, and to me, and I don't know about where you fall in this, August, I've always felt that the E-Nations carries a little bit different weight than the E-Club.
Yeah, Aggie, let's bring you in as well, because your home nation is playing in a few moments' time. Are you super excited to be here?
Very, very excited to once again to follow the national competition here, which is probably the most unpredictable competition of the 3 big FIFA World Cups here. So I'm really excited, and especially obviously to watch Denmark play.
We're going to get a back-to-back world champion here, Brandon. Would be cool, wouldn't it?
It could happen, couldn't it? It'd be one hell of a story.
It would indeed. So many storylines will unfold over the course of the next 4 days. 4 groups as well to kick things off. 2 this morning and 2 later on this evening. So we start things then today with groups A and B. Aggie, I've got to come to you for Group A.
Yeah, I mean, the majority will probably call it the group of death in this competition. You have the home favorites here with Saudi Arabia. Then you have household names with Bonanno and Nicolas in Argentina. You have Denmark, obviously, and you have the Netherlands, supplied by 2 strong outsiders in Canada and Qatar. So a really, really interesting group, and for me, that's the group of death.
Brandon, B's yours.
Yeah, I mean, what a group this one is. I was saying in the build-up, I feel like there's going to be a nation in this one that surprises us. Maybe that could be Morocco. It includes Morocco, USA, France, remember, FIFA 19 E-Nations Cup champions, Malaysia in their first ever E-Nations Cup final. Italy top 4 last year in Copenhagen, and then Finland make up the last spot in that group.
Mike, we get to see a little bit later. Who's your picks out of this one?
There's household names everywhere, top to bottom. That's kind of what Aggie was touching on at the top of the show, where this is difficult to predict. But you got Spain, now with Antonio on the split. You got Portugal. They're going to go up against each other with Tuga. Brazil, the reigning champions, with a bit of a different team. We got Palinetto, who's been subbed in, multiple E-MLS champion. Australia's been making a lot of noise thus far in the competition. We saw them in the E-Club. Why not carry that momentum here? You got Singapore. You got Turkey, and I know Turkey's been training. I talked to Isopower. I talked to a lot of the guys that have been in action, and they've been putting in the work. They've been putting in the time, and they have the focus on getting the result.
Should we not forget Group D as well? Big names in there as well. Israel, Yuval and Feltman. We've seen a lot of those 2 over the last few years. India, they did actually finish bottom of their group last year. We're hoping to make amends there. South Africa, we know they brought some noise, didn't they, last week? And then I'm going to go to Germany. Umit's on that side, a world champion just 2 days ago, yet again. And then the Swedes, all the Optole, Ololito and Olabole, all the 3 Ollies there. We love to see them back in action. Well, 24 countries, 24 teams ready to go into battle. And actually, they all came here into the arena yesterday to get a feel for it, and we welcomed them to an opening ceremony. That's the Brazilians there then. Remember, they were world champions last year. Different side this year. No Crepaldi or Klinger. We've subbed Palinetto and Resende in than the Italians. Danny Pitbull there, he's always passionate. Umit for the German squad, and Dolomite, we haven't seen him yet this year, but Umit still holds 2 world titles. Could it be 3? I don't know if I'm brave enough to say that. And then the local side there, led by MS Dossery. He'll be bringing a lot of fans into the arena, I'm sure of that. Well, let's have a look then, shall we, at today's fixtures to kick things off here at the E-Nations Day 1. So Group A, the local guys up against Qatar up first. That should be a tasty encounter. Mike, talk me through the rest.
Well, Argentina, Denmark, if that's not circled on your calendar as a must-watch material, if you're a FIFA fan, Nicholas and Matthias Bonanno. Denmark, can they progress with Anders? Can you make that partnership? We see Marcuso, we see FIFA Oostin, and we know both those guys are open to rotations. I'll just put that out here early. We saw that last year. They're down to shift things around.
Canada, Netherlands, and then let's have a look at Group B as well, Mike, quickly.
Absolutely. We've got Morocco, Malaysia, as Brandon was saying, USA I'll be watching versus Italy, and then France and Finland. Can Finland bounce back? We saw them in the E-Club, some of the similar exchanges. Can they make it happen for E-Nations?
Well, we've spoken about the first round of fixtures. Let's meet our teams, shall we? They're ready and waiting in the wings. Let's welcome them to the studio. Well, what a studio it looks like as well, Brandon. Let's welcome then our home nation, shall we? This is a team from Saudi.
Yeah, I mean, what opportunity they have as well. It's their second time in the E-Nations. MS Dossery leading them out. But Abu Maka seems to be a player that we have to keep an eye on here. Following them is Qatar. They're the lowest ranked nation in this one, ranked at 32. AA Megasip, a bit of a FIFA hero. This side, Argentina, Nicholas, alongside Matthias Bonanno and Eze Correa. What a squad that one plans to be.
Absolutely, and following them is the team from Canada. They're ranked 9th in the world, as well as we see some more teams just flow through here. That's the Moroccans, of course, semi-finalists at the World Cup. Can they emulate their national team this time out?
Yeah, Malaysia next up there, first time in the Nations Cup alongside USA, who are back for more. King CJ, Fiddle and Lamps, they'll be making some noise, I can assure you, across the next few days.
Exactly. Well, following them, we have the team from France, 2 brothers in that team. It doesn't happen very often. And then the Danes, Aggie will be cheering them secretly on. He's obviously got to sit slightly on the fence sometimes. I'm only joking, you do not have to do that. Can we see Anders then get a new title? He only got one 2 days ago, Brandon.
Yeah, Netherlands just coming in just before the Italians there. 2 European nations who always place well in this tournament. Italy have had a top 4 finish in the last year in this tournament. We cannot forget the Finnish nation that did claw their way through one of those last European spots to get to the E-Nations Finals.
Well, that's all the teams then you'll see in action today in Group A and B. Let's just let them settle into their gaming consoles, into the chairs. They've got great pods here. Some of them will experience those pods and will have a real feel for the setup, including that man, because he went all the way, didn't he? 14 matches under his belt over the last 4 days. He had a break yesterday. He came in here with his new side now and has to go again. I say has to, he'll want to go again, Aggie. He'll be relishing this opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. He's motivated and he wants to go for all of the big 3, and he wants to do it in his debut season here. So he likes to put the pressure on him, and I'm very curious to see how this Danish team is going to operate at this competition, because Marcuso and Oostin are 2 household names with great experience. Can they settle in? Can they play together with him as Umut and him did so well? That's what I'm curious to see.
Well, let's find out, because Spen is down there for us. Spencer, and you are with the Danes. How are they feeling?
I am with the Great Danes indeed. Thank you, Rachel. I'm going to make my way into their booth here. Marcuso, Oostin, and of course Anders making up the Danish team. How are you guys feeling about your chances going into E-Nations?
We're feeling really good, as always. We have the best player in the world, so and also 2 good players, of course.
I was wondering if you were going to say who? Or...
Of course, we have 2 great players, but of course he is like the best player. So we've got to have to make him good, and we'll be a good team.
It's obviously a team event, but you know the fact that Anders with RB Leipzig has just won the E-Club World Cup less than 48 hours ago, do you think that puts more pressure on you, Oostin, as a team to try and win again, or does it make you feel more confident?
Yeah, it definitely does put more pressure on us, but yeah, we know what Anas is capable of, and that motivates me and Marcus a lot, because he is like the best player in the world in 1v1 and 2v2 also. So if we just play a little bit good, we can definitely like come further in this tournament.
Okay, definitely a team to watch. Best of luck to all of you. I'm going to make my way over to the other side of the stage now. I'm going to talk to the guys from Netherlands. I mean, this is Group A particularly, it's so stacked. Could talk to any single team in there and they'd all have a good chance of going through. But I want to speak to the Netherlands guys, because I think this is another really talented team. You've got Emre Yilmaz, Manu Bashir here, and of course Levi David. Guys, how are you feeling about your chances? Some people call in Group A the group of death. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, it might be, but in the end, if you don't get the top 4 out of 6, you don't deserve it in any group. So we'll just do our best, expect and hope we go through. And yeah, when we are through in the group stage and knockouts, anything can happen, and we hope to win it all.
When you look at your group, is there another country that you think are going to be the toughest opponent to play?
Yeah, of course, it's the obvious ones you all know. So like Argentina, Denmark, Saudi, especially here in Saudi, and Qatar and Canada also not bad. So, but on paper, especially like if you look at other international tournaments this year, you got to say like Argentina and Denmark are probably on paper the best.
Okay, best of luck to all the guys here from Netherlands. It really is a great group. But Group B is no slouch either. Lots to look forward to. Back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sven. Well, I'm really excited as well to see how a former world champion, MS Dossary, goes. He's up first against the team from Qatar. And earlier on in the week, we actually caught up with a local side to discuss their chances on home soil.
The support is unbelievable, to be honest. We're really proud. We're very lucky to have everyone behind us playing in our hometown. Our friends, family, and everyone we love and care about can come and attend. We're very grateful that we are where we are today, and let's hope we can make them proud. Just thinking about it makes us happy. I think our group are very tough. Every team in the group can make it the whole way and can even win as well. We have a great friendship between each other. We all have the same goal, which is to win. We're kind of as 3 players, but in one soul.
Well, nice words then there from a former world champion. 3 players, but 1 soul. And they'll obviously be looking to make an impact here, Mike. And it's a big chance for MS Dossary, isn't it? To come here on home soil and really show the fans exactly what he's about. And that we know what he's done before, but for him to do it this year would be pretty special, wouldn't it?
It would be massive to do that in front of the home crowd, and trust this will be packed out by the time they kind of get underway. I also think it's huge for him on even an individual level, because we haven't really seen the success in the 2v2 format for MS Dossary compared to his 1v1 and those expectations. And now you have Abamaka, who has been another player that's been rising the ranks. We saw him win the Saudi League. We qualified for all 3 of these events. He's going to be here for the E-World Cup, of course, and I think he's part of that next group of Saudi players. And if they can put that together in the 2v2, massive for the nation, massive for the progression of everything that's happening here. And I just think it kind of builds towards the future.
Both of you, what kind of form do we think MS Dossary is in right now? Is he in world champion form?
I mean, you'd hope so if you're a Saudi. I think to Mike's point as well, there's an interesting play here happening with this Saudi team. Abu Makka, many people have called him the next Dossary. So if you've got the next Dossary and the current Dossary together, you'd expect a good tournament. They didn't qualify for last year's tournaments. There's an even bigger push on them being here this year. And as Mike said, if the home crowd can get behind them, I mean, they definitely should be getting through the groups. Have to be getting through the groups.
Does Dossary, Aggie, have the same fear factor in him?
Definitely. I mean, if there's one player I would rate at a World Cup, regardless of it's 2v2 or 1v1, it's Dossary. The history speaks for itself. He's really, really consistent. He always gets there. And yeah, I'm backing him, definitely.
They've got Qatar first up.
Well, I also think of Falcons as next door. Literally walking distance from where we're at in the venue, and good luck to Qatar.
Good luck to Qatar. Well, we hope they won't need it, but they probably will if they're up against a world champion and possibly the new generation of Saudi FIFA as well. Well, we're excited to see exactly how all these teams get on here today as we kick off then in our first round of matches at the FIFAe Nations Cup for 2023. Let's get to it then as the games get underway. Well, our first matchup then. when they suddenly log in, is going to be Saudi taking on Qatar. We can see them just getting set here. Aggie, at this point, how high are the nerves? Are they pretty high?
To this match, obviously there's a lot of experience there with MS Dossery and their own home turf, so there will be nerves. There's always be. It's natural in your first match of the day, but I think they should be fine. But it's an interesting matchup. It's like a derby almost, right?
Well, if you think about it like this, as we know, Saudi hosted this year's tournament, so they got an auto-invite, which basically opened up the Middle Eastern spot. And it was a case of who goes through there. And Qatar have got there. It said it's their first ever nations here. They've got a decent team on paper. AA Megasip's the only Qatari player to make an E-World Cup. He did it quite a few years ago. He's actually played for the national team as well in real football. So he's doing the next best thing on the virtual pitch. This one should be a good game. It's our featured matchup, Saudi Arabia against Qatar. Keep in mind that all the group games are best of one. They play 5 games today, and then they play the reverse fixtures again tomorrow.
How much then, Brandon, do we know, and Mike, of this Qatari side and what they might bring to this year's Cup?
I think it's difficult to judge the 2v2 because we haven't seen it in action. We haven't seen them against a lot of different opponents, and that's not to say that they're not going to perform well or to discredit them in any way. We just don't have the metrics. Plain and simple. I love to talk from an objective point to support my points, typically my subjective views, but we just don't have that information available, and this could be a breakout for them. And I think they're kind of playing with house money to a certain degree because there isn't that large expectation.
Well, this is the first round, so it's just a chance, isn't it, for people to warm up and get a feel for the venue, for their opponents, and for the competition as well. Well, Mike, I've got to come to you on this one. Sorry, USA, Italy.
I'm back in the US. You saw my predictions. You saw what I did in the groups. I'm making things a little bit disruptive. I've got the United States in a very biased review to win Group B. That's probably not going to be anybody else's choices, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be.
Well,
I'll sit on that island alone.
Well, I actually can't have a biased opinion. Neither can Brandon, because a big, I guess, question mark was why did England not qualify this year? You know, we were so disappointed to see them not make it here to these finals, Brandon.
Absolutely. It feels weird sitting here in England not being in the hunt for an E-Nations Cup. The first time we haven't been in the tournament, but I think it goes to show the level, especially from the likes of Spain this year, which stood in our way and made it a very difficult qualification process for the E-Lions. Some other matches as well that are taking place, if we can check into Argentina against Denmark. This attack comes in towards the back post. 2 hands on it in the end. This one, Aga, I think you said it perfectly in the intro. You need a special type of FIFA player to work alongside Anders Bergen, don't you? Because he's going to be loud, he's going to be in your face, and you have to try and just put it aside and be like, that's Anders on the pitch. Off the pitch, he's very different.
Yeah, I mean, the chemistry is absolutely vital, no matter which team you're at, and I think they definitely have that at the Danish team. And I think we speak a lot about Anders, but he's going to perform. I'm pretty certain about that. My question mark is, are Øystein and Marcus ready to follow up? That's the only question I really have with them, and that's what I'm looking forward to see. Because Anders will always perform. That's just his level. But also the balance between it. Because we heard the interview, and they shouldn't forget how good they are as well. You can't be too overwhelmed that you have the best player, arguably, in the world on your team. You also need to believe in yourself and that you can contribute with something, right?
That brings me to 2 major points, and I'm going to use that interview as well. One, they both sounded as if they're committed to their roles as support players for Anders. And transparently, even with Umit, I think you kind of have to be a support player. You're not going to be the leader of that team because of how he plays, how he pushes forward. And then number 2, Øystein and Marcuso both have a ton of international and domestic success. So I don't want them to come off, or for people at home to not realize what they've accomplished in the competitive scene.
Good point there, Mike. We'll just possibly see what happens from this corner kick. But we have had our first goal then of our FIFA E-Nations Cup. And, I mean, it was written in the stars, really, wasn't it? Which team scored it, Brandon?
Yes, the Saudi Arabian side that have scored. 23 minutes on the clock. And it's the home nation that leads in this one. And it's all Middle Eastern matchup in Group A. It's not the only goal that has gone, and the goals start to arrive here across the board, and it's a team that are playing in their first ever E-Nations over in Group B. If we can head to it, Morocco against Malaysia. There's been a goal there, and also a goal between United States and Italy. All the matches in the 30th minute currently in the first leg. Well then, here is the goal. Sorry, Rachel. Group B, we said Malaysia. Maybe people aren't expecting too much from this outfit. One thing they do have, a handful of the players played in the club just a few days ago, getting that vital experience on the 2v2 pitch. We're joining this game live right now. Morocco playing in their second E-Nations Cup as they equalise. As we join it live now, keep an eye on this Moroccan side. Expect big things from them. I predict they'll be in the top 4.
Well, let's jump back over, Mike. I'll let you take us through this. So not that you want to particularly, because it didn't go USA's way, did it?
You love doing that. You love doing that. You see the extra pass, first time finish from R9, top corner. Not ideal for the United States, especially with the Italians known to be defensive.
I actually don't love doing it, because...
You're smiling so big. You love doing this. Even more so because England's not here, you love it even more.
No, but I feel like I can now be Team USA, no? Can I? Can I come and join you on the sofa and be Team USA?
I'll welcome you. If it's authentic, if it's genuine, I'll take your company.
It's genuine. It's genuine. King CJ, let's go.
He's not on that team.
Well,
Lamps, fiddle.
Lamps and fiddle, correct.
Well. I think there's been a bit of a scoreline here happening across the number of games. Canada, 9th ranked currently on the FIFAe rankings, lead against the Netherlands. The one thing about this Netherlands side, don't get me wrong, fantastic roster, but just can't get past the round of 16. Both times they've been in the Nations Cup, they can't get past. Speaking of people that have won this tournament before, it is the French nation that do lead a goal to nil, 30 minutes in there.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Canada. I mean, it's definitely someone you shouldn't be sleeping on. You have the likes of Goal Machine, who has great traditions at the FIFA World Cups as well. And you have Power, who had a recent experience of playing the 2v2 last week. So, I mean, that's a very, very strong duo as well. And maybe a nation that could go forward and surprise in this competition.
Yeah, they're definitely not an underdog there, are they, Mike? You kind of, we were speaking about this off camera, and I was doing kind of my top picks. I thought I'd put 3, and I ended up with about 8. That's how many teams here, I feel, can go all the way.
Well, we have such a mix of big names and experienced players. And again, we should reference or date back to Canada just when you're looking at Goal Machine. So much success, even at the E-World Cup, international success. He's traveled well. And then Adjit's being a defensive player, they should have some balance there.
Yeah, well, a couple of the matches have gone to half time now. So we'll stick them with this one. France leading the Finnish team at the moment. I was going to stay that way until we get into the second half.
And surely when you look at France having the Peixotos, that has to be an advantage. They're sharing a household.
Talking about
chemistry. They're sharing genetics,
Talking about chemistry.
There's no better chemistry, surely, unless they're the kind of brothers that don't really get on. But I'm not thinking that's going to be the case with the two brothers who are playing for the French national team. And they're joined by Fuma, of course, making up that trio, because most of the time, obviously, the two are there, but there is this backup player that we might see come into play in the knockouts, possibly.
He's just as good, isn't he, Fuma? I mean, you've got Leandro and you've got Diogo Peixoto, those two brothers. I mean, it's a first in FIFA esports where you've got two brothers that are both fantastic. Both have won tournaments in Europe, and they currently lead, as we said, 1-0. I think, for me, France have got to be up there as top 3 to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, and we can't forget the coach, as I would like to call him, Le Professeur, Brian, who has a lot of experience as well and was one of the best FIFA players, especially in back in the days, where he also managed actually to take part in one of the FIFA World Cups. So, I mean, also a player that you will remember back on and say, okay, this guy was one of the best, and him sitting behind these 3 talented players just makes France one of the great and big teams as well in this competition.
Mike, as we're on the USA-Italy matchup, obviously Fiddle and Lamb's in the squad. Obviously, you've got King CJ that sat behind. Can he add something from his experience from last week?
I think it's important, more so just to have someone sometimes to calm your nerves, to go over a couple tactical changes and switches. And I feel like a lot is made on the coaching staff, sometimes in between matches, just to make sure mentality-wise you're in the right place. And I've always said this, and I mean it, you need to have short-term memory if you're going to be a competitive FIFA player, because we're going to see results go against you, you're going to see group stages go against you, and you've got to be able to battle back and have that kind of mental endurance.
But I guess what someone like CJ can add to that squad, though, Mike, is we know how to get through now to the knockouts. They did that, didn't they, with DC United? They kind of goes, well, it doesn't have to go all your way on the first day. Just stick with it.
Yeah, so the commentator, isn't it?
Mike's got no words, so Brandon Aggie, it's back to you.
Get me off this game. Change the main game.
Well, let's speak about Italy for a second, Aggie, because look, it's pretty much the same roster as last year, and those three players have just got better.
Yeah, and I mean, we also saw them. We saw them last year knocking out Denmark at home, at Denmark's home soil, and had a really, really close semi-final. So I mean, Italy is up there as well. I mean, there are so many teams here, and it all going to come down to form and peak time.
Well, we've got an equaliser then in one of our games. We'll jump over to this one. And it's come from, I'm going to say, possibly the dark horses, Finland against France here, Brandon.
Yeah, back in the game from the Finnish side. I think one thing that I look in that Group B, you probably look across the board and you say France, Italy, definitely in that top two. Then that third and fourth spot, it generally could be open to anyone. Morocco, USA, Malaysia and Finland. I mean, this points are going to be shared, as we saw. We saw teams last week, Rachel, draw like 7 games in the group stages. And we hammered home about how important it is to make sure you can try and push on in the dire moments just to get the extra 2 points on the board, because draws can also kill you in the groups.
Yeah, exactly. I was having a little look back at last year's, actually. And the winners, Brazil, they only came away third in Group A with 15 points. They didn't win one game, Mike, on day one. And they came back and won 4 on day 2.
It's possible, but you'd prefer to get off to a good start. I do want to bring up Finland here, not only because they're on screen, but I thought they looked, in a lot of moments, really good in the E-Club. They were leading in more than half their games. They had a lot of draws. They had problems seeing out games, but now you've brought in Kosu, who I think is going to add some additional leadership there and just confidence in some of those moments. They could easily turn into one of those dark horses that goes for a run, because ability-wise, scoring goals-wise, they already showcased that last week.
Kosu as well, Mike. He's been the best Finnish player I think we've ever seen. So putting him into your team is only going to help you there. We jump across the board to this one. Saudi Arabia still lead Qatar by a goal to nil. There's just under 20 minutes left in this game. Looks like the host nation is going to kick off Group A in the right way with 3 points. They have an attack now, looking to double that lead. They can wire this one in. As far, unfortunately, as Schweinsteiger.
Well, I expected a few more fans in here to kick off the first day, but I'm going to forgive them. They only had 1 day off, and they have to come back and support the local team here for sure.
It's still early. It's still early. What I've learned of spending time in Saudi, they don't show up anywhere until 6, 7 p.m. at the earliest. So don't worry about it. Later stage today. The second portion of today, they'll be here. They'll be in action.
I know, Mike, you enjoyed a little bit of local culture yesterday as well. What did you make of Saudi when you get a chance to see it in its full glory?
Well, you were with me. We had a lovely time. We got to see some of the traditional side to Saudi. Also, dinner was fantastic. Shout out to Mar, who kind of took us around Saudi, also a Saudi FIFA player. I've got new attire for the final as well. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Ooh, if that's not a kind of cliffhanger to keep you coming back for more, I don't know what is. Right, let's jump around. I hear some more goals are coming in.
Yeah, there's been another goal in this game. Canada against the Netherlands. I think we also have to give a lot of hype to this Canadian side. They had a decent run in last time out in Copenhagen. They got out the groups. But again, I keep putting a question mark over this Netherlands side. Why are the Dutch duo not kicking off well in this tournament? They seem like they can never get past the round of 16.
Yeah, it's a tough task right now for the Netherlands. Definitely not the start you want to get. And I agree with you, Brandon, because when you're looking on the paper on that squad, I mean, 3 amazing talents. Well, arguably say, if you're looking at just player by player, maybe the best team here. But obviously it's a 2v2, so that changes a lot.
I've got a theory. There could be too much ego and too much pressure. When you're dealing with some of the best players in the world, when they collaborate, if they don't get results, everyone critiques them. And they're always used to being the main man.
I feel like this is their year to go far. They have to. Like with the roster they have, the year that Emre Yilmaz has had, Levi David, Manu Bashir, E-World Cup Grand Finalists. This is their chance to really push on and do much better than a top 16 they have done in past years. There is other goals going in other matches. We'll jump across to see the USA goal against Italy. I think it might be a consolation with 7 minutes left on the clock, but the USA at least on the score sheet.
Makes a massive difference, doesn't it, Mike, just to get your first opening goal of the tournament in the first match as well, even if it is a consolation goal.
I'm still not happy. You keep sending it to me. I want this to come my direction when we get a result. I want to talk about us leading a game.
Well, drama in this game. Argentina-Denmark, there was a penalty in the 82nd minute. Denmark with a huge chance to go 1 goal to the good, and it was saved. What a chance wasted there, but Argentina living life on the edge. They could have easily thrown away a big 2 points. Back to this one now. We had a big roar. Barnes, it's the French side that now lead 2 goals to 1. That looks to be 3 points on the board for the previous E-Nation Cup winners.
And it stays to be maybe the Achilles heel with Finland. I talked about it earlier with the E-Club. They put themselves in positions, but they're not closing out games well.
Early doors, though, here. So they might figure out a way to rectify that as we get into the match number 2. Well, that takes it to 5 then, doesn't it, for Italy now?
It's not a good beginning. It's got to be said. I'd rather lose a little bit closer than this. Conceding 5 goals is uncommon in 2v2 FIFA. You're not playing your best FIFA. It's pretty easy to go on record and say we could have done a lot better.
One leg as well. That is tough to take as Richard Buckley.
I've got Richard helping me count the 5 over here.
Off camera, Richard is just heckling Mike Labelle. Mike, come back. No England. Anyway, there has been another goal in the game for Denmark versus Argentina. Brandon, which way did it go?
Yeah, we're going to head to it as soon as we can. We'll see the closing stage of this one very quickly. France looks to pick up 3 points, but there was a penalty missed by Denmark. Did they have another chance? Yes, they did. Was it another penalty? Well, this was the original penalty, I think, no? There was another penalty. 2 penalties in about 3 game minutes. This time, Denmark didn't put it down the middle in the top corner. And it is the Danes that lead by a goal to nil. Aggie, good start. Big game against Argentina.
Yeah, you can start to doubt yourself if you missed the first penalty because it's such a key game in the group. So getting off with 3 points against Argentina, that would be a massive, massive start for Denmark.
Does that kind of show you or tell you that Argentina are throwing the kitchen sink at the Danes?
I think that just goes to show that Denmark is here, they're ready. Argentina might have more of a bit slow start, but as we can see here, France just throwing it away in the last second to Finland, and a crucial point for Finland as well to carry on into the competition.
We're seeing the goal here from France to kind of push them forward. And here you have it, trying to hold it, done incorrectly, little cancellation there, an extra pass, 2-all, and that hurts you. These are the types of draws or loss of points or leaving points on the board where it's clearly from a mistake, something you mismanage. It hurts your heart, it hurts your FIFA soul.
Yeah, and we saw it with the likes of Man City last weekend, how much it can impact you and which consequences it can have for you during the group stage.
In August, I have a follow-up, unrelated. We talked so much about Anders, and for good reason. Is he that much better than everyone? Is that just where we're at? Because we're talking about the best players in the world are folding to him. Omid plays a secondary role, current world champion. We got the likes we've heard, both Marcuso and Oostin talk about it. They're saying we're just trying to feed the beast. Is he that much better?
I mean, there'll always be opinions. My opinion is simply that he's the best player I ever played against, and it's hard to explain. You have to play against him to understand it. So from my standpoint of view, I never played against someone who is that good at the game.
Well, another team that have been pretty good, haven't they, in their opening round of fixtures are Canada. They just beat the Netherlands in match number 1. Spen, you're chatting to them now.
Yes, thanks, Rachel. So you're in Group A. Many people call it the Group of Death. But you started off with a great win against the Netherlands. That's a great start, isn't it?
Of course, this is a really good start. Levi DeWitt is a really good player. In E-Club, he did top 4. And to be honest, the E-Club was like a motivation for us. Goliath, they were in the group of death and they did really good, so why not?
We have the goal machine here. When you looked at this group, you know, some people would maybe say you're on the cusp in terms of whether you're going to make it out or not. Is that a fair assumption? Now you've won the game, maybe you should be one of the favourites.
I don't think it's ever fair to cut out any team before the tournament because you never know. I feel like we're at the level to compete with anyone here, and we just showed that as well.
And now you've beaten Netherlands. For you, does that make you one of the front runners to win this group?
I wouldn't say we would like to win the group, but first game doesn't mean anything. We have like 9 more left, and we have to focus every match and try to finish first.
Okay, great start for Team Canada. I'm going to head down the stairs now because I want to try and chat to someone from Finland. I think the coach is there, and it was an epic victory for them in their first match. Oh, sorry, a draw actually. It felt like a victory because they were coming back from 2-1 down against France. They got it to 2-2. And I think the coach is in here now. Quick chat with you guys. So, I want to talk about the change. I know it wasn't a finished team necessarily last week with YMCA, but for all intents and purposes, it was a bit like a Finnish national side. But you've got one new player, and I've noticed the energy in the booth seems to have changed a little bit. He's a little bit louder, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the leader. He's very enthusiastic, but also he leads the team by example. So we need him here, and with him we can win it.
It's Kosu we're talking about, of course. And do you feel like, you say you can win it? I mean, it was a big draw against France in the last minute there. Lots of draws last week for YMCA as well, but needed more wins. Is he going to be the difference that's going to allow you to maybe win the whole competition?
Yeah, he has way more experience in playing in LAN events and stuff like this, and we need his example to close out the games. We were lacking that last week, I think, and with him we play much more mature. Yeah.
Okay, best of luck. Don't sleep on Team Finland, guys, particularly with the addition of Kosu. I was watching them before the game started. They had a little team huddle, lots of energy, very loud, completely different dynamic for Team Finland, so watch this space going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I always love that, get a bit of an insight into the squad. And Kosu there, Aggie, I'm going to come over to you to talk a little bit about the dynamics in the team. You know, have you played in squads before when someone just comes in and breathes a new lease of life into a squad?
Yeah, it can definitely help, and it certainly looked like it. And also, I think it's a very valid point in terms of coming with some LAN experience, just showing the other guys what it's about, and just giving them those small margins, which eventually, here in the first game, secured them 1 point.
Yeah, especially after kind of probably didn't finish where they wanted to last week, did that YMCA side. So having a fresh pair of hands in the team just really does kind of help to shake things up a bit. Well, let's have a quick look then at the standings after one round of matches. Not much to read into this, but it's nice to see who's off to a winning start early doors. Canada, we heard from them, didn't we? And we saw the Saudi Arabia team, 3 points there, and the Danes as well, big 3 points. So that does kind of confirm that they were all one-sided affairs in Group A. Group B then, Italy, the only team there that got a definite win with 3 points and a couple of draws. France, Finland, Morocco, and Malaysia and USA, of course, picking up that loss to Italy there. But as the guys from Canada said, 9 matches to go. There's so much more still to play. I'm going to come to you, though, Brandon. Canada, though, said they think they're as good as anyone here this week.
Well, I think we were saying in the build-up, isn't it? I mean, you can have... Well, you had 8 names, didn't you? 8 different teams. It's so hard to try and predict who's going to come out on top here. So I think, look, in that group where 3 points are going to be even more, bigger than most of the groups in the group of death, the fact that we're looking after round 1, I know it's only round 1, but Nicholas and, of course, Matthias Bernardo won 0 points. They've not started as they want to. There could be a moment where we look back on that 4th place in the group tomorrow, and they'll be like, wow, we missed out there.
And I'd like to revisit and just track back for a second and put some more respect on Gold Machine's name, especially pre-pandemic. For a couple years, he was leading North America. He was one of those faces. You didn't want to see him in international competition. He scored goals for fun, very offensive, very disruptive. He got busy with it. And even from the international side, talking to all the guys in Europe, they also put him as kind of one of their own. And after that period, we really haven't seen him bounce back. This could be kind of his reintroduction.
Well, let's see. Long way to go. Should we have a quick look then at what our picks were for the top of the tables? I'm just going to go with Aggie and Brandon first. in A and B. Aggie, you went Denmark, obviously, and Italy. Brandon, you went Netherlands and France.
Not going well, is it?
Not really.
Only one game,
one
though.
game. One game. All still to play for.
Speaking of it not going well.
I was going to tease you at yours.
Oh, that's fine.
I was going to tease Mike's for a bit later. Mike, I'll go with it. Netherlands and which?
I'm still sticking with the Americans.
We're
not going to push against them. I don't know which camera to look at. You looked at me. I saw a lot of lights turn on. This one right here. We're still sticking with Team USA.
I wanted you to tell everyone at home who you topped for Group B, and it was the USA. I was going to let you say that. But anyway.
It's hard right now. It's hard. We're coming off a bad result.
He missed my cue, guys. Anyway, these guys didn't miss the cue. We're back into the matches. Netherlands-Saudi then, match number 2 on day 1 here of the E-Nations Cup. Saudi with the best start out of these two teams as it stands, and that's not something I'd probably say very often, Aggie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, very interesting matchup there for a lot of the teams, and I'll say, really looking at this Canada-Argentina game, because with the start Argentina had versus the start Canada had, it could be a massive, massive game for Canada to go out and win that, and for Argentina, if 2 games played and they have 0 goals and points on the board, it would be massive.
Well, there's a penalty shootout, not penalty shootout, a penalty happening then in the Italy-Malaysia game. Only 8 minutes has been played so far, and we've already had a big, big moment there.
Well then, let's have a look at it live now. Which way has he gone? Italy or Malaysia at the penalty? It came here. It was the goalkeeper that came flying out for Italy. Malaysia have a huge chance to go 1-0 up in this one. What is a difficult group already? Up steps Benzema. 8 minutes on the clock. Goes right top corner, and they do lead Italy by a goal still. The group leaders currently 1-0 down in this one. We join back to Finland against Morocco. 2 teams that both had draws in their opening matchup. Here in Group B, it's a good save from the goalkeeper, and very nearly 1 goal to the good for Finland.
Well, Sven was talking up their chances, wasn't he? They've got a refreshed side. Have the guys from Finland revitalised so far. Let's see if they can get anything out of this one. They had a massive comeback, if you're just joining us, against France in that opening round of fixtures.
And scoring in the 90th minute for Finland, a team that, if anything, all they've been lacking is a little bit of belief, might be massive for their progression and their momentum today.
Definitely, and I know that it's a very methodical team who works a lot with analyzing the game and preparing for things that can surprise you. So it will be interesting to see what Finland has. And as we speak, I think we have a goal in one of the other matches, which certainly will make me happy.
I wonder where that's come from. Qatar maybe, or no? Clearly not. Denmark. They lead 1-0 against Qatar. Here's the goal. Again, we can see on replay. Looks as if Anders Vergain, no doubt, is the captain in the team. Laid it into his teammate. Mbappe leads by a 1-0.
Gorgeous collaboration there. Take him to the beauty shop. You see the scoop. You see the step over. You see the ball roll, and then the extra layoff. Just another day in the office space.
Well, Argentina then are in action this time against Canada.
Oh. Lovely resurface there, almost a bit of a 3-point turn. R9 takes the space. It might be the curse of the interview here. Spence starts talking to people and the results start shifting.
We've got a great duo here though, haven't we? Nicholas and Matthias Bonanno on this side. Those two have got so much respect in the FIFA ecosystem and the community. You know, they have the pressure on them regardless of if we talk them up or not, just about what they've achieved in Nicholas's long history, and Matthias still short FIFA history, really, Mike.
I think it's similar to the partnership with Saudi, actually, where you have Abamaka, and you're saying like he might be the next MS Dossary. The same with Matthias Bonanno, already a world champion. Nicholas, of course, you could argue the most successful FIFA player of the last 6 years. His consistency is unparalleled, pretty much unmatched. Another world champion, and you can say he's the next Nicholas, perhaps, if you want to start making a little bit of a compare and contrast.
Let's jump across to the USA, looking to pick things
We haven't
back.
conceded.
They haven't conceded
We
yet,
have
Mike.
not conceded.
33 minutes in. France will be fuming after the Basically thrown away a win in the 90th minute against Finland. Here's a chance to join it live now. Defended well by the USA here.
And I'll say this now, we need a big bounce back. Coming off a game where you concede 5 goals, it just doesn't happen that much in 2v2 FIFA. I just think back all the E-Club that we saw, and a lot of those were low-scoring affairs. So it's important that the team kind of realigns, readjusts, and gets on the same page here and gets back to competing, especially in this group.
Well, we had that early penalty, didn't we, for Malaysia. They managed to find the back of the net in that one. They still lead Italy, but Italy have got a chance now, Brandon.
Yeah, Danny Pitbull and Katia. Didn't take them long to get back into the game. 32 minutes on the clock there. The current group leaders leading the way. If they draw this, there'll be 4 points from a possible 6. We can quickly jump across to the Netherlands against Saudi Arabia game. I was just checking because there's been a substitution in terms of the team there into this second game. The first game we saw the 2 Team Hullet players, or as you could say all Team Hullet players, Manu Bashir and Emre Yilmaz. There was a change. Levi de Veerd comes in now for Manu Bashir. Expect to see that a lot from the Netherlands, making constant substitutions.
And that might support a little bit where I talked about managing egos. You've got 3 players that individually probably think they're the best of the 3, even with all the success Yilmaz has already shown. Now, even more so on a 2v2, who does what? When do you step? Who plays defense? Do you play aggressive? Do you play passive? Picking and choosing. You got almost too much talent to deal with.
Yeah, it's really an important task here. We often speak about the importance of the coaches, but just for the sake of the Netherlands, it's really vital that the coaches knows exactly in which match they have to pick the 2 players to play, because yeah, as you say, Mike, it's a great point. There's 3 players who have a lot of achievements behind them, and they're all very young still as well, so they will expect to play. So it's just about finding that right balance.
How many matches do you think they will get to figure out the best partnership before they stick with the duo continuing the competition? If they're to get to the knockouts, of course.
I think it's really hard to answer. I think they're definitely going to rotate if they think they're not working. I think they're going to. We already saw that they lost to Canada and they switched on Lady. So I think they're going to be very quick to respond to the actual circumstances, and I think that will be the case throughout the entire competition for them.
I think there's a massive debate to be had here because it depends on the nation. I think some nations have got 2 players that they are locked in. Yes, they've got a third. Yes, they've got a sub, and it's more of an acknowledgement, I guess, for someone who's had a fantastic season. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to play unless maybe you're steamrolling through the groups. And on the other side, I think you have stacked teams, but it comes in from the coach. I think Denmark's a good example of that with Dennis. Like, he is not afraid. I know it'd be pretty crazy to, but if Anders Vergang for some reason wasn't in the mood to play, he doesn't care. He will sub him out.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last year at the World Cup that Dennis had the guts to sub Anders out, and it actually gave a positive response just in that case, because Denmark actually came back to the match. But it's a big risk. It's always a calculation, and with Anders coming in with that momentum, I mean, there are so many things you need to take into consideration. That's why maybe the coach's part in the competition, especially 2v2, is super underrated.
It's relatively straightforward to me. Let's use football terminology. Some of these squads have subs and other squads have reserves. And the reserves, they're not going to play. They already know their role. They're there to cheer them on and be a good vibe, a good energy, but they're not going to actually have a chance of coming on and being substituted onto the virtual pitch.
Good point there from Mike Lebel. As we jump back into France taking on USA here. Well, the goal has gone in for the French national
Don't send it over here. I got Richard looking at me with a smirk. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it.
Brandon, we expected France then to try and come back after their draw against Finland, just losing in the final stages there.
Absolutely. Especially against a USA team that might be feeling a little bit low after their 4-1 defeat. Sorry, Michael Bell, but there is still a lot of group games to be played here in this group. And as I said, the only 2 real front runners, if we're looking on paper.
It was 5-1, but who's counting?
Okay, 5-1, sorry. France or Italy.
I just like accuracy, you know? We're going to be valid.
Be the top two. Speaking of goals, Netherlands. They had a bit of a roster change, but it's worked out well. They lead against the hosts. 1-0.
Well, now this is interesting. If they can keep this lead, do they stick with this duo then going into match number 3 against the local side, who will have a point to prove this week to give their fans something to cheer about?
And we should bring this up as well. Levy has more 2v2 success than both Yilmaz and Bashori, at least in my opinion. If you're looking through what he's done with Ninjas in Pajamas and Team Holland, that collaboration with All Elite.
I agree, but I also feel like Manu Bashor and Emre played 2v2 FIFA all season. So I feel like there's two debates to be had there, I think, from that, but I agree, absolutely, more success in the 2v2 from Levy.
Big goal then in the match. Canada taking on Argentina. We were saying, was it the curse of Spen going to chat to the teams? Hasn't been the case in this matchup.
Yeah, Argentina did take a 2-0 lead. Canada got a goal back. We're jumping back to France against the USA. Mike, look away. 2-0. France lead in the second half. It looks like it's going to be 0 points from the first 2 games.
This is a painful opening day this far for me.
Lamps and Fiddle, what do they do now? It's so early, but what are they thinking now, Mike?
I do question a little bit. I know Fiddle hasn't played as much FIFA as Lamps and doesn't have the same success story as you see Morocco getting on the board there. And I just hope that they can regather and kind of realign, because there's so much time left. And I don't want to just say that as a USA bias, but it's the truth. This is going to be 8 games remaining. Tons of points on the board.
Will CJ act as a sub or a reserve?
I think he's going to be a reserve, but we'll see.
We might see something
You never
different
know
happen.
what could shift, will shift, could adjust. There's a lot of debate. People have different plans coming into these matchups.
Well, the Netherlands have got it right, haven't they? 65 minutes on the clock. They lead 2-0. Levy David and Emre Yilmaz finally cooking in the final third for the Dutch nation. Another chance over in this game. It is Qatar that come very close to making it 1-1. But back to your point, Mike, I agree. I think Lamps and Fiddle have been the two that have played the big knockout games in the qualification route. King CJ has earned this spot in the team after just grinding away, getting great results in his own individual career. You saw that as well in the E-Club, getting as far as he did.
I was also going to say, CJ plays a rather defensive style, and that could be a little bit of a conflict from a substitute standpoint. I will say this, and I really hope this is not the debate that we're having at the end of the day, but if USA struggles tremendously, and you might want to just change things up completely for day 2.
Well, if you've got options to do that, I think that would be a pretty smart idea. But we were talking about the US a short while ago. France then still leading at the moment, 2-0. This French team, I wouldn't even say they're underdogs. A couple of us have had them down. Actually, me, I had them down, there we go, as topping Group B. A draw and a possible 3 points coming up would be a good start for them.
I'm also thinking about how much does it play a part that you participated last week at the E-Club World Cup. I mean, you had some experience regardless if it was great or if it was bad, but you've been here, you've been sitting in this arena, you've been feeling the atmosphere. How does that affect you? Interested to hear your thoughts on that, Mike.
It varies, because I feel that it's difficult to adjust partners, especially completely. You haven't been training together. When you look at the E-Club, some of these teams for E-Nations share the same partnership, but some of them do not. Therefore, getting used to somebody else's play style, their leadership qualities, all of that can be very, very different.
Aggie, obviously you'd like, if you were still playing, to play in all 3, but do you think you'd be someone who'd excel in just doing one of the 3?
I think it's always going to be hard to master all 3 because it's you have to change focus really fast, and you have to change mentality as well, because you go from maybe one teammate to another teammate. Like that, there's so many different settings you have to adjust into in a record time. So I think it will be really hard for anyone.
Well, that is another goal then from the Netherlands. 3-0 now over Saudi in that matchup. That's a good statement for this new look side.
What a finish. You might want to hold on to that one. I know we do a top 5 goals of the day at the end. Long distance, long range. Probably didn't expect that to be possible, as you see Canada trying to put some pressure here on Argentina. And to August's point again, even with Denmark, is there's a big shift from playing with Umit and then now switching to playing with Ustin or playing with Marcuso. They're just not the same players. Not to say one is better or this is even more suited or whatnot. It's just that it's a matter of how much time you're allocating per day to these different 2v2 partnerships.
I do know that Marcuso and Ustin, they fly in on Friday, so they've been here for a while, probably just watching Anders behind the scenes, but have they had much time to play with him, Aggie?
I think one of Marcuso's biggest strengths is that and that's why he was picked at the national team for all the years, is that he's very, very good at adapting all the time to other players, which makes him very complete. And he also stated that this might be his last competition ever, so he has all the motivation here to come and fulfill his dreams about lifting another world championship.
He's got the right partner, hasn't he? So let's see how he gets on. And it would be such a shame to lose another, standout performer over the years in FIFA esports, Mike. Maybe he can join us on the sofa in the future.
It's just the reality. The ecosystem properly started, I look at 2017. We had a competitive calendar. That's when FIFA esports really began, instead of just having big tournaments. And I date back from the FIFA Interactive World Cups, going to the FIFA E World Cup. But once you've built in that we're going to have these 15 events or these 20 events or these 10 events, we now had a lot more measurables, metrics. We had more competitions, you name it. And I say all that because we've seen the beginning and the end of some competitors in terms of where they started and they've announced their retirement. We talked about Footwiz Marco. We've been there for the entirety of his career, 7 years strong. I'd say about 5 or 6 of those being at the highest level, competing at the highest level, and he's wrapping it up. He's handing, I was gonna say he was putting his shoes, hanging up the cleats, but I guess he's putting the controller away. Putting it to the side.
Well, as these guys also put their controller to the side for a brief couple of moments.
What a dominant performance by Netherlands. Talk about a bounce back. 3-0 against Saudi, you're in Saudi. They didn't look very good in their opening game. You switch partnerships, it worked.
And you gotta applaud the coach there by just making that quick substitute and changing things up. I mean, that's a massive result.
Big bounce back then from the guys in orange. Nice first 3 points on the board for them.
Oh.
Morocco then still leading. A couple of moments left in this one. Can Finland do what they did against France a moment ago, Brandon?
They should have. How did that not drop? Green time finish, full power, middle of the pitch, semicircle, talk to me nice. Smashes it off the post. No reward.
Might have one more chance, Finland. Remember, they got 2-2 equaliser against France. In the box he goes towards the back post. It's wide again from Finland. Keep in mind that this and Canada against Argentina are the only 2 games to conclude. And as I say that, we just get a full-time Argentina picking up their first win in Group A against Canada there. And we have 2 minutes of added time from Finland, Morocco. Are Morocco about to pick up their first 3 points also?
There you have it. Morocco then with a big 3 points there. So full time around all the grounds here. I'm going to say in the second round of fixtures here. Spen is down there for us again. He is with France, who just got a big opening victory after getting a draw in their first round of fixtures. Spen?
Yes, they did indeed. I'm here with Fuma. We saw, of course, in action with Atlantide Wave last week, but representing the country now, how good does that feel?
It's crazy to represent our country today, and I'm very proud to represent France today.
Unbeaten so far, 4 points from 2 games. What's your target for this group?
We want to finish first of the group. It's the goal of the group, and we're gonna see what happens.
So I want to talk to Coach Brian here, because actually, interesting fact, France former winners of E Nations, of course. Brian, the only remaining person that's left from the team that did win that a few years ago. And I think you may have played an important part in that last game, because we saw a substitution, did we not? And it was 0-0. Fuma came in, 2-0 win. Was that your decision?
Yeah, it was my decision actually. We have like 2 duos with a different profile. One may be more defensive with Diogo, and one more offensive with Fuma. So we needed goals. So Fuma goes in, and well, lucky for us, he do the job.
The rest is history. That's good management right there. 0-0 to 2-0, so good win for France. Obviously on the other end of that defeat was the USA guys. I'm just going to join their booth quickly here. We've got Fiddle here, of course, with Lamps. Guys, talk to me about your opening 2 games, 2 losses so far.
I mean, obviously that's not ideal, 0 points from 6. Well, 6 available points, but if my math is correct, there's still 24 left. So, I mean, France and Italy, good teams. So I still back ourselves. 4 teams get out. A lot of people to play still.
And one man you could definitely take inspiration from is this man right here. He's not been used yet, but of course we saw DC United last week pick up a lot of points on the second day. It's a long group stage, isn't it? You can't panic after 2 games.
Indeed, I trust my teammates. They know why we're here. They qualified us in the playoffs. They're trying stuff, it's not working, but as the day goes, I still believe in them to get the points for us to go through. I trust them.
Well, we saw some incredible comebacks last week. We saw teams going through like Hollywood with 1 point from the first day, picking up 4 wins from 5 on the second day. So listen, nothing's going to be decided today, but I'm sure USA will be looking to get their first win in the next game, if possible. Back to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they will be. Obviously, he was just saying, yeah, maths is correct. 24 more points out of 8 more matches. Mike, no need to worry just yet.
They might struggle to top the group, but if you're talking about teams you're going to lose to, losing to Italy, losing to France, easily the 2 favorites in that group, at least on paper, not the worst scenario. They're just going to have to battle back, and they have to get points off other teams or other nations. Otherwise, you're going to really have to sit down and review day 1.
Yeah, Aggie, just a chance at the moment, isn't it? Like they said there, to try and figure out what works. 2 big defeats at the moment. Got Finland next. Will they try a plan C?
I think they're going to stick to what they know for now. I mean, obviously, if you want to lose to 2 nations, it's ideal, I guess, for them to lose to the 2 pre-favorites in the group. But on the other hand, I'll also say that it's important to get some of those crucial points against them to just have the edge over the remaining teams in the group.
Yeah, you don't want to leave it too late, do you? Like we did see last week, Brandon, a couple of nervy round 9 and round 10 fixtures. America want to sort their roster out and their tactics out a little bit sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I agree, and I think maybe they have the mindset, not saying that, you know, they're searched to run away with it, but they're happy to drop points there, as they've said, because look, there's another handful of teams in that group still. We know that they're probably going to be going through. France, Italy, guarantees they're in the top 4. They can have the points off us because they're taking points off everyone, really, aren't they? Then you get a bit worried when Finland are equalising games in the 90th minute against France. Then that's a bit of a different story. But look, round 3 for USA now. It's time to turn it on.
Yeah, let's hope so. Well, let's just remind ourselves then, we've spoken about USA, yet to pick up any points. Let's see who else is struggling a little bit. Well, let's look at Group A. Qatar at the bottom, struggling a little bit. Again, a lot of FIFA still left to play. Denmark then, the only team out of groups A and B to be undefeated in terms of 2 wins at the moment, 6 points next to them. Aggie, I'm not going to look at you, be smiling ear to ear. Yes, he is. Canada then, 3 points. Netherlands, 3. Argentina as well with their win a moment ago over Canada. Saudi as well on 3. Group B, Italy and France and Morocco, all on 4 points. Malaysia on 2. That Finnish side still just 1 point from their opening fixture, and USA still looking for their first point and have got 24 more left to try and get some from. Well, people at home as well have been tweeting in already saying they've been excited about what's to come. We've got one here from Sly Mora. I have so much confidence in the Moroccan team to make it out the group stages. And with Mr. Dory behind them, I'm 100% certain. Let's get it. There we go. Yeah, Mr. Dory, Mike, he's been around for some years as well now, sitting in amongst that team. A lot of experience in that side.
No doubt, and he's another one of those vocal coaches. I look at the Renzos, we're looking at the Mr. Dorys, or even Daniel behind all the Leipzig success, and now with the Germany, if they're successful, he'll be there as well in action and in their corner. There's certain coaches that kind of stood out over the years, even Enzo as well. Guys that are reoccurring with a lot of the success stories. I mean, you've had the same coach for many years. I can think back of the years of that. Same with Bruce Granick. But yeah, we talk about certain coaches that have been able to adjust and kind of maintain throughout year after year success in FIFA history.
Yeah, well, I guess the players, they respect them so much more if they've been there and done it as well, Aggie.
Yeah, I mean it's a combination because we also see some coaches who maybe didn't have the greatest career but have some other tools. I would always say that it's a good thing that you have tried it on your own with your own hands to be in the crucial moments that definitely give some respect, but you can also win that respect from the players in other ways, and I think that goes to show. A good example, what I can think about is the Finnish coach. He's not here, but he's an analyst who never had a big career, but gave Finland a lot of tools to qualify for this event.
Well, we're speaking about the Netherlands, weren't we? They had a massive victory just a few moments ago against the home side, Saudi. Let's just have a look at some of those brilliant goals they managed to score after they turned their roster around, Mike.
You see that early knockdown. I'm telling you, keep these goals. I want to watch them again. I want to re-up it. The knockdown into the green time finish from long distance. You're going to see this with Netherlands in general. I call it the Yilmaz Especial. I know he's not necessarily in all the rotations, but, you know, he's a guy that's known for the long shots, putting those power shots together, and you see them scoring from long distances. That's not something that's that common in FIFA 23.
Well, we saw Emre Yilmaz, didn't we? As we see him on shot there. Levy still back in this side. This is, I'm going to stop that question, just go, look at those 4 players that we just saw on the screen there. Absolute superstars in the FIFA community, taking each other on the virtual pitch. Now, Brandon.
Scary, isn't it? This is like a semi-final or even a grand final of that sort of lineup between the two players there. Argentina finally got their first win in Group A.
Yeah, and I would argue this is the greatest on-paper E-Nations we've had in terms of the teams and the partnerships, the collaboration. At least if we're looking at names and notoriety and success stories. That's not always the best players, but over the course of FIFA history, it's impressive. I mean, these guys, almost every team from a big nation has won something.
I feel like if you lined everyone up and you could go down and you're like, Libertadores, Champions League, Team of the Season Cup, there's so many achievements amongst all these players here, individually and as a duo. Well, let's quickly go to one of our early goals then. Unfortunately, Aggie, I won't come to you. I'll go to Brandon instead. Brandon, tell me what happened in the Saudi-Denmark game.
Yeah, well, it's been a great start, hasn't it, for Denmark? However, you might want to look away, Aggie, right now. It looks as if Dosseri and Abu Makar have finally found a way through. It was maybe a little bit of an ugly finish, but they won't be moaning about that one. 3 minutes in, it's a dream start for the home nation.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate there, but I mean...
welcome to my world, August.
You can't compare our picks so far.
Oh, here we go.
I like this, a bit of beef on the couch. Come on, guys,
we don't have any points. They already have 6 points. I understand.
But I'd like to pick up on the coaching point, because you're looking at Daniel, for example, who won the E-World Cup last year with Umut, and now he won the E-Club World Cup with Umut at Anders. And I talked a lot with him, and he was never known as like a very successful FIFA player. So it goes to show that you don't have to have experienced all of it in terms of being successful, and you can win the respect in other ways.
I guess we see that in real life football as well, don't we? Some of the best managers in the world have never particularly played football at the highest level, but they just get what it takes to manage a team and, just bring that togetherness that a team needs to be successful.
Well, it's almost as simple as often the best players in the world aren't the best instructors. Sometimes there's natural talent there too, and you can't teach that.
Well then, let's jump across to some more goals that have gone in Group A and B. It's not looking like a day one to remember, unfortunately, for Qatar. It's Canada that lead that game. 12 points in. There's also no more updates from anything else. I thought we might have had a few more goals 50 minutes in across the board in all the games. A lot of nil-nils as it stands right now. Oh, we've got a goal. Oh, Finland have scored against the USA.
Let's not go to Mike then. Let's just talk about this together, the three of us.
Help me! Help me!
Petr Cech scoring as well.
Mike, maybe this is a chance for you. Do you want to go and have a little bit of a team talk as well? I know you bring so much energy, like good vibes to
I'm going down there.
team.
I'm
3
going
matches.
down there after this game.
We get a little bit of a breather, don't we, after 3 matches here, if you didn't know and you didn't watch the Club
We're
World
doing
Cup.
a team talk, Rachel.
Mike's going to go down and just have a little chat, and maybe then you can come up and bring us some of the USA gossip and what's going on in the camp there.
Sure.
Well, if we can, Group A. There's been a goal in that one. We said keep an eye on Denmark against Saudi Arabia. 2 nations that have hosted an E-Nations Cup within the time of the competition. It's the goal that's gone back the other way. And it's Anders Vergang cooking with those step-overs. 25 minutes in, all square there.
The change of direction. It's just sensational. Sensational.
The thing is, when he gets into that position, if they set him up in that position, they're going to score.
And I think he's more confident than he's ever been. Coming off winning E-Club. Remember, at the beginning of the year, the main question, and it's my job too to poise it, I was saying, we've seen him online, now we got to see him in person. Then he delivered in person, now he's already winning titles. I know it's early, but what if he goes for the trifecta? We've never seen it done before.
I felt like we do our little predictions here, if you guys don't know. I had to put him down as topping the group. I just love the story.
Denmark. I don't know what's happened at the back there. Saudi Arabia with a huge chance. They lead 2 goals to 1. Who's given away that penalty? I'm not sure. Marcuso shaking the head though. Maybe it was him.
Well, I'm sure they'll try and turn that round. That was only on about the 35th minute there, so they've got plenty more FIFA to play there. Well, France, Malaysia. Nothing to decide, separate these teams, I should say, at the moment. France, though, you would think have got a little bit more in their locker here, but anything can happen in FIFA.
I think what was great as well when Spencer was speaking to Brian, substitution, what it sounded like in-game. You're allowed to make 1 in-game substitution. That means you can roster one of your subs into it. I can also see that Fuma is now in the hot seat with one of the Peixotos. So, again, that France side has had so many reps. Happy to play with each other, and I think that's a key thing in terms of their boot camp on the build-up to this tournament.
I think he said, didn't he, it was Diogo that comes in and out, or Fuma there. So it's Leandro who must be the mainstay of this side, which actually it's Diogo that we've seen probably more of over the years, haven't we, in terms of presence, a lot of the FGSs that we've had.
And in past times, I believe, before Stingray came in, it was actually Leandro and Fuma that were teammates. Both in their French National League they play and also for their esports teams. There's a lot of past history there between those two.
So cohesion wherever you look then for France.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter who they pair up against who. Well, almost half time here in this one. Nothing to separate the Netherlands and Argentina. Well, 45 minutes gone. Let's go over to Canada taking on Qatar. Canada then, looking to bounce back after that loss to Argentina in round 2. Qatar there, just getting an equaliser.
And I believe that's the first goal they've actually scored in the tournament for Qatar. That could be much more than a goal, a confidence boost for those guys in the final third.
Just before half-time as well. Great time to score and just get yourself back in this matchup.
A couple of half-times across the board. Netherlands against Argentina's 0-0. So is France against Malaysia. That's also a 0-0 game. And Morocco against Italy. Still goalless as Qatar looks to have an attack here. One of the last ones of the half it could be. Stepovers coming out. This is nice. Oh, what turnaround.
Oh, that's spicy. Wow, wow, wow. Talk about faking the resurface. A little step over into space. Reads the goalkeeper movement. Buries it on the near post. Talk about a little extracurricular.
So clean, so nice. I mean, it's the best feeling when you're just watching, like,
we sound like outcasts.
So clean, so nice.
Okay, Miss Jackson, let's go.
well executed step overs is like just so nice to watch.
Well, it's about setting it up as well. You can see that everybody wants to unleash those types of skills, but how you build it up, there's almost a little bit of storytelling. The shoulders are shaking. There's a little bit of a shimmy before you get into that little step and go.
Well, those boys loved it. Did you at home? Well, let us know if you did. Nice to see that. France doing the job over Malaysia.
Yeah, breakthrough from the two French players there, Leandro and Fuma. Perfect way to start the second half against this Malaysian side that has been really hard to break down. Now suddenly, looks like it could be a bit of a goal rush. Let's jump across to Saudi Arabia against Denmark. Just started the second half of play here. Denmark piling on the pressure to try and get back in this game. The Saudi Arabian side standing defensively well. What a massive 3 points this would be off a side that hasn't dropped any so far.
And as Saudi has more success, you start having to argue, is it really the best FIFA nation? If you were to get well ahead of us, but if Abamaka wins the FIFAe World Cup, he'd be the third Saudi to win a FIFAe World Cup, which no other nation has done. As they add to it, you see a
Well, we saw another goal there. We're going to see another goal. Mike Lebel, where is he coming from?
It feels right. It feels good. You see the extra pass, the layoff, you tap it home. We've got a goal. We've got an equalizer. We've got a celebration.
Is this going to be the point they were looking for? Let's hope so. Long way still to go, though, in this matchup. Well, you were going back to Saudi, Mike. You were talking about them. You're bigging them up. Are they the best nation in FIFA?
A lot of people, I don't think, consider them that, but if you look at having 3 separate world champions, no one else has done that. No other nation. You name another nation, you can't. These are just the facts. And I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. But adding a 2v2 as well for Saudi is a nice little addition to that claim.
I'm not going to be too biased here, but Denmark also has 2 as it stands, and that's just E-World Cups, right?
And
yeah, we're looking at E-World Cups.
Yeah, then we have the E-Club.
That's why I said the 3 is important.
And Germany. It's a world champion. He's now at
E-Club would not go to Denmark. You'd give the E-Club to Denmark because of Brøndby?
Oh, but I'm just saying, back in the days, Brøndby won twice, right?
Yeah, okay.
Anders was, let's say, half to Denmark.
Half to Denmark.
I think
there's a bias over there.
This could be cleared up, actually, couldn't it? This could be cleared up after this 4 days.
Well, it's also, I'm telling you, it's just a good point to bring up. When we look at the best nations, we talk about it time and time again. What is the criteria? Is it about the amount of quantity top-level players, or is it about the actual world champions that they have, or the multiple world champions from these nations?
Good point. We can pick this up because obviously Denmark are in action over the course of the next 8 days as well, and they've got such depth, as Aggie knows, and he was probably one of the FIFA guys from Denmark that started that as well. Well, there's been a massive goal from France. I hear it was lovely.
We said the goals could be rated in from the 2 French players. Oh my, stop that.
Again, top 5 that circle it. What a finish. Kevin De Bruyne steps through. I didn't know the distance was possible. We're dealing with almost 32, 33 yards out.
He's always got good long shots, KDB, but I didn't think he had that in his locker. Big goal. This game's still 0-0, just under 20 minutes left to be played. Argentina against the Netherlands, both in a 5-back, being very hard to beat. USA look like they could be on to get their first point on the board in Group B. 20 minutes left to be played in this one too. We jump into a pause at the wrong time. Lots of tactical changes being made. Let's jump to the game that isn't in a pause. It is goalless between Morocco and Italy. Maybe for not that much longer though. Morocco now towards the back post. Defended well.
Italy came out firing, didn't they? 5-1 against the USA. And then got that draw against Malaysia, and then, yeah, just finding it quite hard to break down this Moroccan side as well here, Mike. Oberon back in action, possibly a little bit disappointed with his campaign last week. We expect a lot from him. We put a lot of pressure on that young guy's shoulders.
I didn't love what I saw from Exceed. I said it on air. I said it to them privately. I talked to people saying I wasn't that impressed. I didn't think they clicked that well when we saw the action last week with E-Club. With that being said, Italy's looked good. They've looked like a different team. There's certain camaraderie there. We always talk about the Italians, how they come together, and you can feel a different scent in the air.
I think when you have Danny Pitbull in your team, it's all a bit more cushy and a bit more friendly as well. I love to see him in action. A great addition with Catcher and then Hollywood back on the squad in terms of a coach as well. Right, so much more happening around all the grounds. Let's go to Saudi and Denmark.
Job done. I think you can argue in this game So they're 3-1, they go 4-1, just driving forward. Cheeky chip over the goalkeeper. Thank you very much, Saudi Arabia getting a huge 3 points off the only unbeaten team left in Group A.
A massive statement there from Saudi Arabia to just getting that lead, a 3-goal lead against Denmark, who had a lot of confidence coming into this match. That's a statement as well there from the home soil nation. And a lovely chip, Mike.
It makes me feel a certain type of way. There's a certain level of being nice with the precise. And I'll say this too, it's early on, but you would think that MS Dasari, Abamak are going to get out of the group stage. You don't want to see them in a two-legged affair. I don't care who you are. If you deal with competitors, that is not the team you want to go up against.
Well, let's go to Argentina and the Netherlands then. No one is coming out on top as it stands. 5 minutes still left on the clock for this one. Two great sides. We teased this one up, didn't we, when we looked at the two squads sitting next to each other. Just such great names here playing each other on the virtual pitch. Clock runs down. Netherlands are still in possession at the moment. Oof. As Argentina look to counter and gets a big 3 points here. Only a few more minutes left.
Massive goal gone in over in Group B against an Italian side that have slipped off since what was a great start to the campaign. Morocco, we said keep it up for them. Their second time in the tournament.
What a goal,
Brent.
Talk about the quick passing, the ticky-tack of the pass and move, the finding of space, and then the finish. And it comes late, it's great, and it puts them kind of in a commanding role in Group B.
It does indeed. Well, France and Malaysia, seeing how this one ends as well. Malaysia haven't managed to find something as France just try and look possibly for a third here. Bit of pressure on from Malaysia there.
Full time across the board. Finland, USA, that will be 1-1, and you don't often see it in best of one FIFA, but it's a 0-0 between Argentina and the Netherlands over in Group A.
Two great sides. We didn't really know which way to go on paper. That's one that could go either way, and they just split the points there as well.
Big points on the board also if we can get to that game. Qatar against Canada. That one is all square as it stands. It looks like France are about to conclude that game, so we'll leave it. Here's the replay of what we missed. Qatar went 2-1 up, as we knew. It was a lovely goal, wasn't it? And then towards the back post, Canada staying in this one. Goal machine and Ajit, maybe deflection, was slightly fortunate, but they're not going to be complaining, sorry. With 20 minutes left to be played there. Canada nearly finding a third.
And that's well done. And I talk about it a lot, but if you're looking to get better at FIFA with these whipping in of crosses, being able to judge when to take it first time, when to take a touch, when to go for the volley, so important for being a little more clinical with the finishes. And that's what the pros always do at the upper echelon, that top tier.
Well, another goal for France. We said they've already run away with the game. We probably won't show you. 88 minutes on the clock. That's 3-0 to the past E-Nations champions. Morocco in added time. That one's about to conclude at 1-0 for Morocco there. They'll be over the moon to pick up those big 3 points off a nation that finished top 4 in the E-Nations last year. That's Italy. Just slowing down a little bit in the group stages. We'll stay with Qatar against Canada. As it's the only game that's got plus 10 minutes left of it.
Yeah, and the only game which is still quite a tight affair as well at the moment. Well, the Saudi side did finish that game against Denmark 4-1 then. Big statement from them against the side everyone would be expecting something from this week here in the desert. Well, Qatar then, this would be a massive moment for them if they could get something out of this matchup. We know how strong the Canadian side is. Spoke to them, and when they're talking to Spencer, they said they believe they are one of the best here this week.
For me, Qatar have to get a point from this game. Have to get a point. If they don't, lacking confidence, 0 points from 3 games played. They're putting so much pressure on themselves every game now.
I'd agree with Brandon. I was thinking to myself, who needs these points more? Qatar, even if they could get a win out of this, they could slide another goal and behind Canada. It does a lot for them in the group, and it kind of shakes up the group a little bit as well, where there's not that degree of separation, because we're starting to already see early degrees of separation from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, a little bit after 3 matches. A couple of teams are starting to pull away a little bit at the top. We'll bring you up to speed on that when this match has concluded. Looks like it's the only one still left in play here.
And I'm sure Tuga and Ndoni don't want me to bring back what happened in E-Club, but we started counting those points. As time went on, and they weren't getting the wins, they were drawing after drawing after drawing, and there weren't points available for them when they needed them. And it really pushed it down to the wire where you started needing alternative results. You need a win, then you need a draw here from the other side. If an upset happens here, you're going to be struggling. And it puts a lot of additional pressure under your team and under each of the individuals in order to finish that chance, finish that opportunity, not make any mistakes, can't concede the penalty kick. You don't have as much leverage. The margins just get slimmer and slimmer.
I guess that was one take-home, wasn't it, from last week? Don't play for the draws. You have to play for these wins.
I think at the end of day one in the group, it depends on so many factors, as Mike said. You don't want to be sitting there praying, hoping this team does X, Y, and Z. I think you need to be getting more than 7 points. You need to get more than half available from day one. Again, it depends on how your group is, but Hollywood was a one-off. 1 point after day one, they came back and went through. But more than 7 points mean, bear in mind, you can get 15 per day. You can get 7 or 8 points from day one. It's not bad going.
Yeah, there was a couple of dramatic ends, wasn't there, to day 2 last week. Hollywood, they knocked out a Fnatic, and it was Ducks as well, who basically knocked out Riders Atletico as well. So some big final moments, performances there, just to cause some drama for us here in the studio, which we actually love. Gives us a bit of energy as well after 2 long days of FIFA. Well, this one is almost up.
Could be a winner for Qatar. Last chance of the game. Added time of 1 minute. Not going to come to any. Or will it? No. Very nearly Canada giving away an extra point there on the board. But a big, big, big point in the group of death for Qatar.
Yeah, massive point. First point on the board for Qatar. They'll be happy with that one. As we go to a bit of a break now here. But that does mean Spen is up. Around the grounds, where are you, Spen?
I am with the Malaysian team here. I've got the coach Imre with me. 2 draws and a loss so far. How do you feel about your opening form?
So I feel that the opening 2 games we played well. We were quite unlucky. We were trying to get our composure and improve our finishing. But I think we focused a bit too much on that part that we forgot how to really defend in the 3rd game. But I'm confident in my team. It's still early. There's still a lot of games to play. And I'm pretty sure it'll bounce back soon.
Yeah, it's a wide open group. I mean, you're in the same form as Finland, who've also got 2 draws and a loss. You're ahead of USA, who've got 2 losses and a draw. So get that first win, you could be looking good. I want to address the elephant in the room, although if the cameraman can see it, it's not really an elephant. Who's this guy?
So this is supposed to be our national mascot, aka our 5th squad member.
Has he got a name?
We're actually looking for a name. If you have any suggestions, we'll welcome it.
I think Richard Buckley would be a good name.
Okay, all right. That works too, yeah.
Is it a fox?
It's supposed to be a lion.
A lion, okay, fine. When you say supposed to be, is it a case of you just had to source something that looked like a lion from somewhere?
Yeah, it's the closest we could get as a national mascot, yeah.
Good work.
It gives us a good team spirit, yeah.
I like it. It makes a difference. Richard Buckley, the lion there, everybody. Right, let's move through. I want to talk to the guys from Italy now. So Italy's form was a win in the first game, draw in the second game, and a loss in the third game. So 1 of each so far, as we're going to make into the Italy booth. Guys, how are you feeling so far about your opening games?
We started very good in the first match, but unfortunately with Morocco we have been a little bit unlucky, so now head for the next match.
And if you remember this time last year, I spoke to the gentleman on my right here. Malaysia have got the Fox mascot. You've got the best dressed man in E Nations. Is it good to be back?
Thank you very much. Well, we are really focused on the competition. It's an outstanding competition with the best team. We are just at the beginning. We'll see.
Lots of games still to go. Now, I'm very keen to get a chat with Argentina, but I think they've done a runner again. They keep evading me. So watch this space, guys. I'll be back soon, hopefully speaking to the Argentinian guys.
Yeah, let's hope so. Well, I know someone on the couch will be probably eager to go and speak to that Argentinian side as well. It's this man who's just joined us, Richard Buckley, and that's because he's a big, big fan of Matthias Bonanno there, aren't you, Richard Buckley? As we bring in Alex B as well. Alex, you don't have the same bromance, so I'll go to Rich on this one, and he can give his thoughts on the bromance which has been bubbling. I'm obviously joking, Rich.
And Nicholas, let's not forget that. Nicholas is close to my heart. No, I don't think we've been that impressed by Argentina. Just one-legged games, it's very much the case of if they get through, they then evolve into the knockouts. The two-legged format suits them so much better than the one-legged games, like draws, one draw, maybe a win here and there. I think they'll go through the group, they'll not look unbelievably impressive, but when you look at their performances in this tournament, a final and a semi-final, they get the job done.
You've also got a mascot named after you now. Anyway, Alex, not so lucky yet. Maybe someone named something after you, but he's got a love affair there with Argentina. Where's your heart set in these groups? I mean, who did you go for topping the table? Netherlands and Italy. Okay, good shouts there. Still confident on those?
I am for Italy, purely for the fact of you've got a fantastic team there, Danny Pitbull, Katia, and also Oberon. They made a substitution that didn't quite work out for them, but we know Danny Pitbull, he just brings that passion, that level that he's got there for him as well. It's the team that I'm looking forward to. But I must say, Morocco, unbeaten, they are looking very, very strong. So I'm excited to see how they go.
And the smartest man there in that Italian side with that suit. Looks good, doesn't he, Brandon?
He is. Probably the smartest man to ever go in the booth. He was here last year, wasn't he, in Copenhagen? I was going to say, the colours you're wearing, Alex, are you sure you're not back in Argentina?
I do have Argentina to win the whole thing, I believe.
Oh, so, well, there you go.
All it is for Argentina, get through the groups, and they'll come into life in that knockout.
I want to speak about Argentina as well. I don't think they are as good as they were last year.
Pause that thought, because we told Mike Labelle, didn't we, to go and speak to the USA side to see what's happening after 3 matches there. Mike, give us a little bit of an update, would you?
Yeah, well, I've talked to the boys here. Lamps just got back from taking advantage of that break, and I hope that I'm going to come in with some good energy to push us through. So we've got 1 point, 3 games. Obviously, the first couple games didn't go that well. What are we going to shift going forward here to close out the group?
I mean, we just got to be more precise in both in defending and attacking. Like, we've been unlucky in both of our losses, I'd have to say, but we can always be better, and I know I trust my teammates, I trust myself to be better.
And do you think we ran into some challenges as well? Going down early makes things so difficult with chasing the game, and some of those adjustments that you have to make on the fly. Has that also been a little bit of an issue? Because you have to push so many bodies forward to actually put your opponent under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, in 2v2, basically the first goal has like an 80% chance of winning with how the game is in 5-4-1, so it's just about getting the first goal sometimes and not putting yourself in a hole.
And we've talked a lot about subs versus reserves with having third players. Obviously, you have CJ's here. Is it possible that we could see CJ take in form or come in for somebody or some sort of substitution on the fly?
Yeah, of course. I mean, everyone on the team is here for a reason. No one's here to sit here and just watch the whole time, so we'll make decisions when they come.
Well, you've heard from the boys. Obviously, I'm supporting the boys. I think we can get the job done. We'll build some momentum going into day number 2. I know the desk has been giving me a hard time. I don't want to hear from the desk. I'll be over there soon. But back to you, Rachel, and the boys.
We're not giving you a hard time, Mike, at all. We wouldn't do that to you on here.
You just keep coming to me every time we concede. You just keep coming to me every time we concede.
We want you to backing your boys, don't we? Anyway, we can't back our team because they're not here, unfortunately. USA, though, Alex, obviously had a bit of a shaky start, but they've got Malaysia still to come and Morocco. Chance to pick up some points?
They have chances to pick up points, but I think as well, when looking at that side, Zachary, the coach, has obviously got a tough decision to come through soon because Fiddle and Lamps, they've both made their way into that team. And like you said, yes, changes may come through, but it can be a point at this point. When's it too late to change something? You know, this way it is going now. If you don't start picking up results in these next 2 games, you're coming tomorrow with a big, big task on your hand, and then it gets a little bit shaky.
Well, they might be able to get 6 out of 6 coming up. Rich, I'm going to come to you. Denmark, what we saw a little bit earlier, losing there in dramatic fashion to Saudi. None of us are here expected that. Bit of a shake-up for them and a bit of a shock to get them really thinking we can't just rest on Anders.
Denmark's such an interesting nation with how they decide to play this. You've got a truly world-class talent in Anders Vergang. The question is, he's always going to play 99% of the time. So then who do you put in there with him? How do you get the best out of Anders? The reason that RB Leipzig are so good is you've got Anders Vergang as well as another truly top 5 player in Umut. I love Houston and Marcuso, but history in the last 24 months has suggested that they have had a slight decline in performance. So how do you get the most out of the orange juice, which is Anders Vergang, without it going sour? Because I think if results do start to take a decline, then you have potentially a little bit of a situation with team morale, team chemistry, and who knows what else.
I think it's a bit premature, obviously, to say there's been a decline. I think, it's a little bit of a blip, and we've seen a couple of teams switching their roster. Again, I think Anders is good enough. I don't think he needs to carry players here, but if he needs to, if it comes down to these crunch moments, do you think he's got that experience? He hasn't got the experience because he's only 17, but he does in terms of the amount of time he's put into this game. FIFA 21, that unbeaten record there, that still comes into its own, doesn't it, when we come into events like this? He knows he's been spoken about and spoken up, hasn't he, over the last few years, that this is his time, he's ready.
Absolutely. I think to Rich's point, I see it from two ways, because we can easily sit here and say, where are those Bromby players that had a great E-Club World Cup, right? I mean, I spoke to Aggie about this. The reason is, it's not about the quality of player that's with Anders, it's about who can mould around him, and also who can handle him.
Who activates him the best.
Yeah, absolutely, and who can handle him when he's maybe getting slightly too angry when they were losing that last game against Saudi Arabia. So I think Marcuso and Houston are those two players, and they were last year.
Yeah, they're great players, aren't they? They're players we've watched for the last couple of years. Two legendary FIFA pros there, with the newbie as well, the Wonder Kid, Anders. Let's hear a little bit more from those three.
Anders have momentum right now, and it's of course very important. I think both me and Houston think he's like by far the best player in the world. So if he has momentum, we have a team that have momentum, and hopefully me and Houston can play just a bit like Umut, and we should be in good hands. He's like a little brother. He's got a lot of energy. Me and Houston is a bit more relaxed, so it's good to have some energy when we're a bit tired.
The energy Anders brings to the table is so funny at the times, and we just bring that to the game, and we just have a good bond in the game as well. I think that's what makes us a good team.
I would say I'm the best, but when I doesn't play good, I still have very good chance to win. And usually when it's like became big and very intense, I'm better than the other players. In our group stage, Saudi Arabia will get so much support, and I like that it's like we're playing in their country, so it would be nice to have the crowd against me for once.
I mean, that 17-year-old has confidence in bucket loads there. Can't wait to see how he gets on in round 4 here. But Spen is backstage in the players area where they get to just warm up and get ready before they come out here into battle. Spen, I believe you got text from Team England, who unfortunately didn't make it through to the finals this year.
Yes, Rachel, I do indeed. We've got lots to talk about, Tex, but first of all, as it's the E-Nations right now, how does it feel not getting to play in this one yourself with England?
In life, there's positives and negatives to everything. Negative, I'm not playing. We're not playing, and I wish we were. But positive, more time to prepare for 1 versus 1 World Cup. So,
Because obviously we saw last week with the E-Club World Cup, once that ended for you guys, you tweeted and you said you can't wait to be able to focus on 1v1 again. Like, you feel that's more suited to your skill set?
No, I'm good at 2v2 as well. But it's a case of what do I want to win more, and it's 1 versus 1 World Cup right now. So my whole focus the whole year has been 1 versus 1 World Cup, and no one wants it more than me. So I'm playing, and I'm hoping this year it can click, because the last 2 ones have not been good for me, but I think it's different this time.
You've won so much in your career, does it feel like it's the one that got away, the E-World Cup, and it's time to right that wrong and finally win it?
Yeah, do you know what it is? Like, I look at Lionel Messi, right? He never won the World Cup until he came to the Middle East. So I come to the Middle East, and hopefully it's my World Cup time now. So
you're the Messi of FIFA, is that what you're saying?
Potentially. You're good at your interviews,
You make it easy for me. Listen, enjoy your practice, Tex. We'll see him in action next week. Got the guys from Peru over my shoulder there. Lots of countries here. Australia, Mark 11. He's qualified for all 3 events, of course. We're going to go this way, though. So I want to talk to the guys from Sweden. Great team as well. They might be practicing a game, so I might, it's just in the practice arena, so I can jump in here. The two Ollies, Olilito and Oliboli. Has the disappointment from last week settled now? Olilito, you focused on E-Nations?
I am. Voice is not really feeling the best at the moment, but I'm looking forward to today.
And Oliboli, always a pleasure to represent your country.
Yeah, of course, playing with two of my best friends as well, so it's really fun.
Have you got any thoughts on your group? How do you rate your chances of getting out?
I feel like of course we want to get to 4. I think every team wants to, but I feel like we have good chances because we have three really good players.
Okay. Great side there, Sweden, of course. Will they lift the E-Nations trophy in a few days? Someone's got to. Games are getting started, though. It's time for round 4. Back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I mean, that Swedish side is so good as well. Optole, as well as their third member there. They're in Group D. They'll be coming your way later on this evening to start their campaign here in Riyadh. Oh, guys, let's talk about Tex, what he said there. Well, he says he's looking at the positives now. He's focusing on 1v1. Is he, Alex, the Messi of FIFA? Can he win a world title in the desert where Messi did, obviously, only at Christmas time?
Tex has got a lot to prove at this World Cup. We know, as he said, that's where his attention has been this year, in that 1v1. The last 2 World Cups for Tex have been grouped in both events, which for himself, that is not the standards that he sets. I think there's a different ego about him this time. He's confident, as he always is, but he's confident in that way where he's giving respect to the opponents, but knowing if he comes in, he puts that practice in, like he's been doing, he is the best FIFA player in the world when he comes in with that full confidence. So I've got a lot of expectations for Tex, and I'm looking forward to it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Me looking forward to seeing how Tex is getting on. Well, the football is getting underway. I can see it behind me. You guys are ready. Matchups of round 4 are coming your way now. Argentina, Saudi. Big match this one, Richard. It only feels like a couple of days ago that you see the likes of Nicholas there going up against MS Dossery, and now they're in 2v2 as well with your favourite player.
Big shoes to fill here for Argentina. You coming into this game, you've had an average group standings so far. You're looking to end the day in this latter part of the AB session with a win. If Argentina were to beat Saudi Arabia here, this group gets mighty close. I think 2 points, probably separating 5 different nations. So last couple of games of the day, probably looking at maybe a point tally of 4 out of 6 from your last couple of games. And the one thing that you can expect to see here from Argentina, not many goals. They've kept a clean sheet so far. They've been relatively slow-paced in the one-legged affairs. That first game against Denmark, 2 penalties conceded. And the second one is where they were made to be punished, unfortunately, for any Argentine fans out there.
Yeah, well, goals are going in across the games. 2 matches that I'll be keeping a close eye on. Netherlands against Qatar. But more importantly, after that Mike Labelle team talk, something's changed in that booth. They're up against the unbeaten Moroccan side in Group B, but it's the USA that started on the better side of proceedings here. 9 minutes in, how about that one?
Yeah, great performance from United States. Early doors up against a tough Moroccan side as Canada and Denmark get underway. Denmark, after suffering a big defeat against Saudi Arabia, come back flying. 1-0 up in the first 10 minutes, and that is Zinedine Zidane with the early goal.
Best way to make a comeback, isn't it? Get that early goal there. Just settle your nerves again after that little bit of an upset against Saudi, Alex.
Yeah, right now we see Finland come through. They've started off so strong in this tournament with that change to their roster as well, and the conversations that they had with that new energy, that new vibe that they have. They find themselves 1 to the good with Mbappe on that Trivela just outside the boot. Nice and comfortable finish.
Good side, really good side at Finland. I think they're a real dark horse to go through 4th in that group. I think it's relatively open, that group, and they can pick up a win here against Malaysia, you expect France and Italy to be topping that group, and then maybe looking at Morocco, maybe Malaysia to go through, but Finland, I think, are a good 4th nation that could just sneak through in Group B.
Yeah, well, speaking of someone else in that group that you said could take 3rd place, they might get more than 3rd place if they can turn this game around, that they already have It's the USA against Morocco. It's a very, very high line. It's a terrible save originally. Literally fumbled it back to the Moroccan striker. That wasn't the only goal that's gone in across the games that I've been keeping an eye on. The Netherlands against Qatar, there's been a goal in that one, 20 minutes in. Big switch of play. They do get dispossessed. It's just a case of I don't need anyone else there. I'll just keep running forward outside the boot finish. And it's Thierry Henry that gets the Netherlands underway in Group A. That could be a massive 3 points for them.
Yeah, massive 3 points then, looking like it could go the way of the side from the Netherlands. Had a bit of a slow start, haven't they? But long way to go for them. They had that draw against Argentina. They did beat Saudi earlier on, and they started with a loss to Canada.
We also have goals coming in from elsewhere across the group stages. We have Argentina on that 1-0 lead against Saudi Arabia. R9 with that drive down. Henry, ball off a cross. Nice and composed finish from R9 as well. And another goal to tell you about France, Italy, a massive match up there. France unbeaten. And since that change of bringing Fuma in, we heard the coach Brian say he offers a lot more in that attack. That is the game plan. Fuma linking up there very nicely. 1-0 to France. And also Malaysia, Finland, currently 1-1 in games elsewhere.
United States then, Mike was chatting to them, wasn't he, in that pause in play. Oof. Unfortunately, Mike's team talk didn't go to plan at the moment, as Morocco just get another one to hurt USA a little bit more, Rich.
Yeah, just a real tough situation the USA are in at the moment. They just can't seem to get any sort of consistency in these performances. Morocco, a lot of people as an outsider coming into this tournament, very similar to what they did in the World Cup with a semi-final in Qatar in the December months. And Morocco, I mean, just their story in general is fascinating. The fact that they're unable to compete throughout the majority of the year. They come into this tournament. It's one of the only real tournaments that they have as an opportunity to prove themselves on the global stage. And they are proving themselves in this real tough group.
Absolutely, and just to add on to that from Richard's point as well, basically the Moroccan players have had to sort of locate themselves within Europe to play competitive FIFA. If you look at the two players that are now in the hot seat now, you've got Marwan, who has represented Bordeaux this year in the Global Series, played in the E-Champions League, and on the other side of that, his teammate, Ayman, represented Frankfurt, had a decent run in the E-Champions League as well. These are good players for Morocco as they look to be driving forward for a 3-1 lead here. What can they show us? It comes out to nothing in the end. Let's jump across to another game that has come alive slowly. It's France. This is the second that they picked up in this game. Lovely step overs. It's a simple rebound, a really fortunate goal. And it's France to lead 2-0 there.
And the thing that with France, probably better than any other nation, that constant rotation of players. Now we've got Diogo Peixoto back in with LGR, maybe the more defensive of the two players that they can nominate. And they're 2-0 up against Italy. Not many teams are really sort of rotating this often and this effectively as well. I'm very impressed.
The only two that we've seen do that, Rich, I think what Netherlands have done a couple of changes and so have France. Alex, there's been a goal over in your game. Finland against Malaysia. I heard a big shout.
And we know when there's a big shout, where it comes from, it is the side of Finland. Kosu, he's here to make an impact for this Finnish team. He's loud and he's here to party. 2-1, Finland looking strong.
Well, this one was a big moment in this game, wasn't there?
Yeah, penalty that's gone the way of the Netherlands. It's not looking like a good day one, is it, for Qatar? Just come off the back of that first point on the board in Group A in the group of death. It's Mbappe that steps up on the stroke of half-time. Of course, he's not missing. The Netherlands are leading 2-0.
And we literally just left it, Brandon, but we come back to the Finland-Malaysia game, and it is Malaysia that find themselves back in all square. Just on the stroke of half-time, Hallowake and Akmal giving up an interesting game against this Finnish team.
Well, that's exciting, isn't it? That it is so close to call in that matchup. Perfect time to score, as we always like to say. Half-time pretty much in every single game so far. Around the grounds here, this is match number 4 of day 1 of the FIFAe Nations Cup.
Just looking on the screen there as well, you can see Obron's come in now for Caccia there. I don't know what's going on in the Italy camp. Started so well today, a big 4-1 win. They've just gone downhill since then. We'll join the game now to see how the first half played out. But 3-0 down on the stroke of half-time. What's going on there for Italy?
The rotation of the team, I mean, for me, you're probably looking, let's go back to what we started with. Danny Pitbull, Caccia, potentially that needs to be where they end up. But you just see here the live shots of that Italian booth. Looks to be a change in the offing as it's Ober and Caccia taking their seats.
Well, I was speaking to that Italian camp before they got going today. Said, look, if we need goals in our offensive duo, it's going to be Caccia and Obron. They're 3-0 down. It's a perfect time to make that in-game substitution.
Argentina 1-0 up against Saudi Arabia. This had tightened that group so much. This is where we started round 4, and we picked this up. Live shots here. Argentina and the Argentines leading 1-0 against a resolute Saudi Arabian duo.
And the one thing about that group, Alex, is the power shot comes in, great save from the goalkeeper. Everyone is taking points off each other, other than Qatar.
If Argentina win this game, it throws that group wide open for everything to go through into day 2. And we like that. We know top 4 is what you need to go through into that knockouts. Everyone other than Qatar right now picking up 3 points against each other. Nicholas and Matthias Bonanno, we know the quality that they have together. And we mentioned how knockout stage FIFA is maybe where they come to life. It can just be at times of getting that job done. They'll be looking for that top 2 finish as much as they would like to top that group. And in that Italy game, we saw Danny Pitbull drop down to the bench. Question for you, Brandon. Do you feel like at times, if you're making constant changes, the players may struggle to gel with one another?
We join the game now, and there's a goal back. So for once, Alex, what you're saying, it might actually have helped them. But back to your point, I think they're all great players. We know they're all great players. Loads of reps. They're good friends. That's the difference. Really good friends outside of competitive FIFA. I know for a fact they're always sparring against each other, always playing games. You know, regular matchups to play in league play in the East Serie A. They've played against each other, as we saw in general, FGS competitive seasons, the club, they're all in that same south-eastern side of Europe. So I would say they're all great players, but maybe you're right, maybe too many changes could be an issue.
It's actually interesting as well because this is the first time throughout this tournament where we've seen a rotation of every single duo come through into that team for Italy. We've seen Oberon with Danny Pitbull, we've seen Danny Pitbull with Caccia, and right now it's Caccia with Oberon. So they've gone through that whole rotation, which I don't think there's any other team that does that. There's normally one player which will always be in that seat to play with. So if they take that gamble and it pays off, they'll be looking like Hollywood will be the main man.
Italy didn't have the strongest group stages either last year, and they came back and they were semi-finalists. So let's not discount that Italian side as we jump back over here to this Canada-Denmark game. Game on very much so in this one.
Well, since their Saudi Arabian defeat, Rachel, it just seems like maybe the foot's off the gas a little bit for Denmark.
Every time to potentially make a change as well. Marcuso and Anders still the duo, but you've got Houston ready and waiting on the bench. Could be a chance here for Canada. This would almost instigate that change relatively quick, you would think, if they were to lose this game. That'd be 2 wins, 2 losses out the first 4.
They did make those changes last year as well. We spoke about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
They're not always scared to sub Anders. It doesn't necessarily have to be Marcuso.
And they made those changes, during knockout FIFA mid-game. They're happy to make that change, and maybe we'll see it again here. Jumping back to Finland against Malaysia. That's still 2-2. 25 minutes left to be played here, but big points on the board for Malaysia and Finland in this group, just to stay in the conversation still.
Yeah, something that they'll very much need. A big chance there, Pogba. Van der Sar equal to it though. Chance on the edge as De Jong slips it through. It is going to be Henry. That shot across the goalkeeper movement. Working a treat there. And just unfortunately for Finland, or Malaysia I should say, not getting the chance for that second shot.
Feels like all the games have kind of calmed down a little bit as well. The first 3, Rich, were quite frenetic, and now they've just all found their feet a little bit and just found what's working.
That, as well as I think in these last couple of games, more nations are playing not to lose. Like, especially if you're maybe 4th or 5th coming into the final couple of rounds, 2 points you take happily instead of obviously the 0 that could potentially be going next to your name. Morocco still leading against the United States. They came out with that early goal. However, since then, Morocco got 2 back in the first half, and with 15 minutes left to play, Morocco looking to make it 3, which they do. The United States are in a real tough position right now.
And we've also seen that CJ's jumped in as well, which we were saying, I said to Mike, was he reserve or was he a sub? And he thought he was a reserve. Well, he's a sub, isn't he?
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures, isn't it, in terms of changes there. Let's jump across to a nation that has suddenly got things moving. It could be 2 big scorelines back to back for the Dutch side. They lead 3-0 against Qatar now. We'll see the goal again on the replay 15 minutes in. Just working the angles, working between the 2 lines of midfield and defence. It's R9 that makes it 3-0. Netherlands now, we have to look at those as a nation that could top the group by the end of play here in day 1.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. An absolute dream trio there. We can't ever just talk about them as just being a 2-man team. They're going to switch and change, and as it stands, they've kept what they have. I think it's still Levy and Emre Yilmaz in the pods playing at the moment, but who knows? One more game, Rich. Do you think they'd switch again now that they're in a good position?
Swapped it around, found a pretty decent winning formula, and here they are now with Levy and Emre Yilmaz. 3-0 up Netherlands with 10 minutes left to play. This game all but over. A game that's not over is Argentina and Saudi Arabia. The host nation, Saudi Arabia, trailing 1-0. And if there's one team that you don't want to be trailing against, it probably is Argentina. 2 of the best defensive players on the planet in Nicolas and Mateus Bonanno. 14 minutes left here, Al. It's going to be a big turnaround if Saudi can even get a point, you would think.
Yeah, and we mentioned how this Argentinian team, they're so good when they get to 2 legs of FIFA, and that is just because of that defensive display that they have. They grind away, they take the ball, put it down the wing, they'll go back if they need to, they'll recycle. They constantly make you chase shadows, is what we call it, where you think you're going to get there, but you're just too late every single time. Some fancy footwork coming through. Saudi Arabia, though, stand tall.
Massive shouts then from the arena. Where'd they come from, Brandon?
I mean, I'll pass it to Alex, but Alex, what a 3 points that is. That is, I'd honestly say, the biggest 3 points in day 1 that we're seeing now between Finland and Malaysia.
It is going to be a huge goal for Finland. That man on your screen with the header coming across, and it is Wout Weghorst putting Finland into just a dream position.
What else is dreaming now? It's the Netherlands, as we said. Never really had like any nations that you've sat back and gone from, and they were absolutely fantastic there. I think this is the year where they really can go the extra step further with such a good roster, full time there. Big 4-0 win, high fives and fist bumps all round. They are looking dangerous in Group A.
Speaking of 4, just on the stroke of full time, Morocco got a 4th against the United States. 4-1, that final score. As we're just going to see that penalty stuck into the top corner here. That was why it was given 4. Nothing seems to be going right at the moment for the United States, and Morocco added to the misery. Slamming it well and truly into the top left corner. 4-1, Morocco lead. Seconds remaining between Argentina and Saudi Arabia. We're into the last couple of moments here in Argentina, just trying to kill the game as Finland-Malaysia edges ever closer.
Let's just sit on this one as the clock ticks down a little bit here. In Group B, of course. Finland at the moment in the drop zone position. That's position 4. Everyone wants that 4th position. Looks like they'll pick up an extra 3 points. Ooh. Just to keep their hopes a little bit more secure for day 2.
Me and Richard were speaking to YMCA's 3rd player, Pompey, who was saying about how when you're bringing in a player like Bosu, who brings that energy, there's just that different level to him. They said it in the interview as well. You can just play off that. You can see him right now out of his seat. He's up. He's just raising that level. And when you have someone that is such a confident player in that 2v2 scenario, it just helps everyone in that team, the players, the coaches, everyone around. The vibe just feels so much better.
There's also a higher level of expectation when he joins the team. Everyone else is thinking in that Finnish national team, well, Kostu's here now, we've got a little bit of hope. We've got a little bit of a better chance to potentially try and get some results. It's going to be a huge 3 points up against Malaysia and keeping their real group standings alive with that win, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. They will add to the tally they've already set, which was 2, and so now they have 5, a little bit more secure with one more round of fixtures still to go for their opening day here at the FIFAe Nations Cup. If you are just joining us, yeah, we're already in to our 5th and final fixture of the day. Most of the games around the ground, and having a quick look there, have finished. We've got I think one little problem there to talk to you about in the France-Italy matchup, but nothing really to write home about then. Netherlands have been the talk of the town, I'm guessing, so far. They've been really dominant, haven't they? They're a little bit slow to start with, but have picked up some really big wins then in their final couple of matches of the day, as have Argentina, maybe going a little bit under the radar. I'm going to come to Alex because he is wearing the light blue and white of Argentina. But yeah, like we said, they haven't been super attacking, but that's what we kind of know them for.
That is definitely what we know both of them for, Nicholas and also his teammate on Argentina. When you come into those days and you're saying we've got that group stage game where we have to make top 4, knockouts is ultimately their goal, and they want to go through and then win that competition from doing so. Matheus Bonanno and Nicholas linking up together, it is just about grinding out those results. We mentioned how they may get quite a few draws at times. They're picking up results now and they're getting wins.
Well, should we hear from them, because Spen is with them. Before they rush away, Spen would love their thoughts on their first 4 matches.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm here with Nicholas from Argentina. After a loss in that first game, I know there was a couple penalties in there. You saved the first one, but the second one went in. You've turned it round, 7 points from the last 3, puts you joint top of the group along with the Netherlands. How are you feeling?
All good. But you know, at the beginning I was really mad because I think we deserve at least a draw. Not to win, but I think that at least the draw. But yeah, you against every country, you can't make mistakes. We made 2 with 2 penalties, but yeah, that's it.
Especially in this group as well, the likelihood of a team coming out of this group without losing was always going to be slim. And no one's done it. Everyone's lost at least one game, because we do kind of think it's the group of death. Would you say that's fair?
I don't think so. I don't care. Like, I just want to play. That's what I say to Mati before we start the group stage. Like, every match is different, and we have 10 matches. So yeah, let's focus on each one, and yeah.
And only about 6 months ago, your country won the World Cup. You could follow that up here by copying them and winning the E-Nations. How much would that mean to you and your country?
Yeah, obviously that Argentina won the World Cup, the real one. We made so happy. We were so happy, but yeah, we want to replicate the same, and we work a lot to at least try to do it, you know.
Fantastic work, Nicholas. Thank you very much. They were actually my pick going into this, Argentina to win the whole thing, no pressure. But speaking about the World Cup, I want to talk to another team who have also started to emulate their country's fantastic World Cup about 6 months ago, and that team is Morocco. So if we head over here to talk to them, I'm going to talk to their coach, Dory, because these guys are unbeaten. There are only 2 teams in the tournament unbeaten right now. That's Morocco and France. And here he is, Coach Dory. Talk to me about Morocco. We just talked about Argentina and the fact that they won the World Cup not long ago, and they're looking to emulate that. How much has the inspirational Moroccan performance at the World Cup in December, helped you guys going into this?
Well, you have to know that all the Moroccans are amazing fans of football. Like, that's first and foremost. Everybody's a fan of football. So, of course, the story inspires people. Because just like the Moroccan national team in football, we have players from France, from Germany, living in Morocco, all coming together and forming a whole team. So the staff doing the work in to put these people together, even the communication. One speaks French, the other speaks German, another speaks Derija. So we have to find a way, and it's an inspirational thing if you see that they can make it work, so why can we not do it?
Do you think it's fair to say that maybe you went under the radar a little bit before this? We haven't had as much opportunity to see Moroccan players. This is the chance to really put the country on the map when it comes to FIFA.
Well, I think first and foremost, we lose the eligibility on the FGS. We still don't have it. So indeed, we go under the radar, especially the players that are in Morocco itself. but we have Ayman and Marwan who have been performing very well in the E-Champions League too. So they have been there, people know them, they are scared, but everybody tells me why is not Ayman and Marwan playing every single game? Well, we showed it now. Edem is of great quality, he can fit perfectly in this squad, and that's for everybody in Morocco too at home that is watching. We know that they have the power to do everything they can do to build up and create esports like really for Morocco. And I think it's just like inspirational for them too to keep going, although they are not eligible, to just keep grinding on. And yeah, I think this is like only the start, because tomorrow there's another day. So first France.
Did you guys have a target coming into this? You know, where you wanted to what would you be happy with come the end of the tournament?
So last year during the broadcast when we were here, I was at home and I called you guys in during a video meeting, and I told you for us it's like step by step. Last year we didn't get out of the group. This year we're back and we want to get out of the group first and foremost. And from there on a new tournament starts. Game by game we see what we can do, just like the Moroccan national team. And like I said, I'm hungry for a baguette right now.
Well, it's looking good to get out of the group so far, but plenty more FIFA still to come. We've got one more round of fixtures from Group A and B coming up next.
Yeah, he spoke so well, didn't he, Mr. Dory there, just about Morocco at the World Cup. And I was actually lucky enough to be there, and I followed that Moroccan team closely. And let me tell you, it was absolute scenes there. It was so special to watch their journey. I'd love to see Morocco, the esports team, actually mirror that achievement as well. Let's see how they do. Let's have a look then at the tables after 4 rounds of fixtures. I'm drawn to Morocco first in Group B. I know I shouldn't go there. 10 points with France as well, as we just finished talking about those guys. Really good position so far with one more match to go. I'll carry on with Group B. Finland there. Aggie was talking about how much of a thorough setup they have in terms of coaching. That's working so far as they sit in 3rd place after 4 rounds. Italy then in 4th. Malaysia and USA 5th and 6th respectively. I'll jump back to Group A now. Wow, it's pretty tight at the top there, Rich. 7-7-7, Netherlands, Argentina, Denmark. Saudi on 6, Canada 5, Qatar only on 1 point at the moment.
Unfortunately, for Group A, only 4 can go through. It looks to be a 5-horse race. Qatar, unfortunately, have been struggling in this tournament thus far. However, tomorrow is a new day, but the fact that one of those nations isn't going to make it, that's why, for me, it's the hardest group in this tournament. You've got 5 nations that could all be going far.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like what Mr. Dory said as well. He was talking about the knockouts being a completely new tournament. I think tomorrow is a completely new tournament as well, Brandon, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm sure USA will be saying that after what they're getting on right now. 1 point from 4 games. We sat there and we said France and Italy are a guaranteed 2 in that Group B. Italy, what's going on at the moment? 4 points, as we said. Malaysia only 2 away from them, and USA only 1 win away from them.
They maybe just look like they don't know their best duo. When they were moving, we saw actually some scenes, didn't we, of the pod. They looked like they were kind of quite, like discussing that quite vividly, didn't they? They were kind of shouting who's sitting where. Do you read into that at all, Alex?
I think it's going to be a case of let's get through this 5th game, let's try and pick up a point at least, and then let's talk tonight, let's have those conversations between each other to find out what duo needs to be there tomorrow. Because as we mentioned earlier on, I think when you're constantly changing, you have 45 minutes here, 60 minutes there in that next game, it can be difficult for some of these players to really settle into the groove. Being on the stage with the lights, yes, they've been here before and done that, they know exactly what to expect. Sometimes you just need a game or 2 maybe to find that rhythm, especially in 2v2 FIFA, you're playing with a teammate. It's very different to 1v1. You've got to find your way together, so that's something that Italy have got to figure out quickly.
Well, they have to figure that out against Finland. That's their last matchup today in the 5th fixtures that you're about to see for Groups A and B. Let's see then who else is facing who. Saudi then have got the Canadian side. This is Group A. Then Qatar, well, they're sitting at the bottom of the table. They're taking on that Argentina side, and we heard from Nicholas there, I loved it when he just said, I'm really just wanting to get playing FIFA. Obviously, he didn't take part in the Club World Cup, and this is the first time we've seen him in action then today. And Denmark are taking on the Netherlands, who are sitting top of the pile in Group A. On to Group B. Morocco then. They're really doing the business at the moment. They take on the tabletoppers France, so it's 1 and 2. They're both on 10 points, remember, so this could be the deciding factor of who goes home tonight in the best possible position heading into tomorrow. Malaysia take on the USA. That's a big one, isn't it, for both sides. Malaysia on 2 points, USA on 1, and then Italy take on Finland. That's 3rd and 4th place there, Brandon, as well. Big matches everywhere you look.
Finland win that game. They go 8 points, 4 clear of Italy. And on the other side, whoever loses that game between, as we said, Malaysia and USA will not be sleeping tonight because they will be having nightmares after a terrible day one.
Yeah, well, they'll have to draw inspiration, won't they, from what we saw from Hollywood last week. Anyway, we're back in to the games here in round 5. Let's see who can turn things around then. Denmark, Netherlands, massive matchup. Group A is underway.
I'm going to say, Alex, on this game, Denmark started the day so well that they slipped off, and for the Netherlands, they had a slow start, and now they're in form. It's a really interesting one of who can end day one in more of a favourable position.
It's also an interesting discussion as well for the Netherlands. With that substitution that they made, with Levy coming in for Manu Bachour, do they change that again in day 2? Do they just stick with what they've got now and say, we're going to stick all that way? It worked so well in the remaining 4 games after that game number 1. It's a difficult position, though. Manu's such a good player.
But if the performances and the results, it's a results business. You're not here to please people. In this game right here that we're seeing, it is Levy and Emre. Denmark still yet to change. Every game they've stuck with the same roster, Anders and Marcuso, as they battle off here. I think it's a very interesting debate with the 2 and the 3 players. I think if you've got a good 2 who are used to playing with each other, I think you just stick with the 2. Unless you've got a real capable 3rd who's happy to come in, who's happy to play with each player. Very similar to what France do, where they've almost got like, if we need to defend, we have the defensive unit. If we have to attack, we have the attacking unit. That makes sense. When you just sort of flip-flopping a player in because you didn't get a good result, I don't think that's really useful for anyone.
And France did that as well last game, 3-1 against Italy. They looked relatively comfortable, really seeing out that game as well. A big vital 3 points for the group leaders there.
Well, let's jump over to a game where there has been a goal. It looks like it's gone the way of Argentina against Qatar. It's going to be a day to forget about for Qatar. 1 point if they lose this from a possible 15. And with everyone in that group picking up points off each other in that top 5 from Canada all the way to the top of the Netherlands, it's going to be too much of a mountain to climb.
That group could very well come down to tomorrow who Qatar takes points off of. If Qatar can pick up a draw or a win against another nation, that could be the separating factor as Argentina, shall I say, come forward yet again here. Bouncing out for not a corner, just kept it in play.
And we were mentioning how Italy having that conversation between who is our best duo. Well, they've gone back to their original duo that started this tournament of Danny Pitbull and Katja, and it's proving to work out for them so far. R9 just putting that one across, Henri, I should say, with a lovely finish across the goal. A very, very good start for Italy.
Yeah, they're just finding their feet, aren't they? Finding which duo works the best here for Italy. We hope it's not a little bit too late, though. I know, obviously, we're only talking about day 1 here, but if you make too many mistakes in this opening round of matches you have, it could come back to bite you tomorrow when they get to do it all again. And we kind of say they're home and away fixtures, don't we?
Well, speaking of a team that hasn't changed their roster since they kicked things off today, and it's the host nation. There's been a goal in their game against Canada. We'll catch that one first to see which way it's gone. It's gone the way of Saudi Arabia. Lovely little bit of build-up in the box. Step-overs with an exit to find the first goal. We heard roars from Morocco against France. Mr. Dory said he fancied a baguette. He might be getting a large one because they lead by a goal to 0 after 20 minutes on the clock.
What a story. What a story Morocco are having right here. I mean, just you knew what to expect. You knew they were going to be very good, but I didn't expect to be top of the table.
You remember at the World Cup, the Moroccan coach, he always fancied an avocado. Avocado on the baguette here, what are we talking about?
I just think for that Morocco side, there's such a story there, as Dory was saying. Morocco can't compete in the regular FGS season, so they have to be players that live outside of Morocco. One, as I said, located in Germany, one located in France, and they've had a great year individually, some of those players.
And this is their chance, isn't it, just to come together and put it all right at the end of the season. This is probably their last big chance as well of everything as we know it, so it's quite exciting for them.
We've got 2 booths here in Saudi Arabia that are making a lot of noise. One on your screen, Morocco, and the other one is Finland. They are coming to the party, and I just keep saying it. They keep going time after time again. Italy started off strong. That ball fizzed off across, and Petr Cech, the man of all people, slots it away easily.
Yeah, Qatar, maybe not just yet. We can write them up from this Group A. It's a goal to equalise the game. 25 minutes in, they can snatch a point or more from Argentina. That is going to be huge. I think there could be another goal as well. Morocco against France. Morocco, they want to top this table, and by God, they might just do that.
Moroccan story is not ending in the groups, more than likely. They'll put them top of the table with very, very good chance of progressing through. France are in a bit of a pickle at this current stage. 32 minutes on the clock. Just seems to run into a little bit of a technical problem there, but we'll get back underway with the games very, very shortly indeed.
I thought you were adding a pickle into baguette there, Rich. I was thinking, please, no more food. You put in making up a good sandwich there, though.
Bit of cheese.
Yeah. What else?
Gluten-free bread.
A few technical issues, unfortunately, we can see happening here. But we'll continue with the matches we've got, which is Qatar-Argentina. Nicholas, what's he saying about this? His defence is leaking a little bit here, Alex.
Defence leaking indeed, and we had that interview before with Spencer. Nicholas saying he just wants to play FIFA, he just wants to keep going and get those games in. 35 minutes in though, Qatar yet to pick up a victory in this group stage. They have put themselves into a very nice position, we should say, against Argentina. The last thing you want against these sides is to be 2 or 3-0 down.
Well, before we had a technical pause, sorry Alex, there was a goal from the Netherlands. We can check into that game very quickly. There's a few games just in a technical pause, as we said. It was against Denmark. This is a good game just to separate the two nations in the table here in the group of death. Cheeky little Ear Cup celebration there. 38 minutes on the clock as we join this one back again. Italy with their duo that they kicked off with, Alex, finding their feet, although just conceding in front of 2-1.
Yeah, and that actually is a much more difficult header than it looks. Heading, as we know, manual. You have to be so precise on that analog stick. R9 finding the back of the net. And Finland, well, we won't count them out, Brandon, because they've just been delivering time and time again so far.
Plenty more time in this game. Qatar, Argentina, though, about to blow that half-time whistle here, and Qatar still in a really good position. They'll be really happy with this result. I know it's still a long way to go, Richard, but they won't be able to believe that they're up against Argentina, and at the moment they've got a point.
Could be over the moon if you Qatar come into half-time. And they're going to get one more chance here to go 2-1 up at the break. Referee not fancy it, goes down. Could be a story of penalties for Argentina if that one was given.
Argentina very grateful to not see that one given. They gave away 2 penalties in that game against Denmark. Nicholas and Mateus Benoit were looking at each other when those happened and saying, I didn't press the button. The referee was a bit soft either way. They live to fight another day there on that one. Back over to this game, Italy, Finland. Danny Pitbull and Katja for Italy, delivering the goods right now as we go in at half-time. Possibly one more chance for Finland. No, crunch and tackle. The referee says, let's take those players down that tunnel.
It's a serious turnaround, it has to be said, for Italy. I mean, you're on the back of a few bad results, and then you come into this game against Finland, who are sort of on a little bit of a ride, a little bit of momentum, and you're in a really, it's such an important time to win. You're end of the day on a positive, you're end of the day on a high. You're not going to bed tonight thinking, oh, I mean, we bottled that, that were a game that we threw away. It just resets going into the next day. You pick up 3 points, and you're coming into tomorrow thinking, I feel good about this.
And with the way that the day has gone for Italy, do you think before, when they were looking at their group stage and saying, okay, where are we going to get our points from? Finland is maybe a team that they think, yes, that's the 3 points there, so that means that this is an even bigger game for them?
Must win game for Italy.
Must win game for Qatar as well, and that's kicked off again as we're going to jump back into that one against Argentina. Must win game to take them possibly up to 4 points so they can get the victory, or 2 if they can just hold out here against Argentina, sitting at the bottom of Group A.
It's one thing we know as well for these Qatarian players, when they get in a half-time against a team like Argentina, you're going to be looking at one another and having that conversation to say, look, it's 1-1, it's all to play for in the next 45 minutes, giving credit to their opponent in Argentina, knowing the quality that is on show there. It'll give them a lot of confidence going into the second half.
Speaking of Argentina, they've got a chance here, dancing around the box. It was a big save from the goalkeeper to provide another corner. Remember, Nicholas has always been so good from set pieces. Has he implemented anything onto this 2v2 duo? Unfortunately not. Pretty terrible corner, to be fair. Gives away the ball, but they win back and throw in again. What can we see from the edge of the box here? Maybe a shot from distance. Ball deflected, but Qatar lives to fight another day.
Only one more game away at the moment, and that is Italy-Finland. So we can keep you up to date at the moment with these two matches that are playing at the same time here. Katja and Danny Pitbull, you just saw on your screen there, up against this side. They are really hoping to continue in this form that they've shown for the first 55 minutes. As Italy are on the attack once again here, Rich.
Just looking to build up on the edge of the box are Italy. Very dangerous, whether it's out wide or down the throat. Anywhere from sort of 18 yards and inwards. But it doesn't matter if they win 5-1 or 2-1, they just have to get these 3 points. It's essential, in my personal opinion. When you come back tomorrow, you look at the games that they still have to then play against again. You maybe look at Morocco thinking, well, that's not going to be a 3 points. France, maybe you take a point out of that game. This is one of those matches that has to be an Italy win if you are wanting to build confidence and also get out of this group.
It also is, but we know day one and day two, there normally tends to be a team that comes to day two that just does not perform the same way of day one. And we're looking at the likes of Morocco, who had an excellent day so far. It's so difficult to replicate what you did on day one into day two. Morocco, though, if they carry on the way that they've been going in that game that they have, they've probably done enough.
Yeah, they'll have 13 points, they'll be through. Like, 13 points was pretty much a guarantee. I think the only group, there was a group with 14 points, was sort of the minimum in the Club World Cup last week, but 13 out of 15, I think you're well and truly into the next stage, into the knockouts. It then could go down to placement and the rankings as and where they match up. You're going to be matching up from someone in the group. You probably want to take the #1 seed.
Oh, big news in the game between Argentina and Qatar. I believe there's been a penalty in it. Let's join it live now. Let's show you what has happened. Again, it's the quick footwork coming up, but the defender just follows up with a tackle, goes into the book, gets the yellow cards. Can Argentina make it 2-1 against Qatar? Of course they can. From the side that gave away a penalty in their opening game, and it did cost them a few points, this time winning a penalty. Saudi Arabia against Canada is back underway. Remember, only 40 minutes on the clock there. Well, there was a small technical pause, but all the games, as it looks like, are getting back underway. That includes Morocco against France as well.
And the problem is in Group A, with Saudi Arabia and Canada are situated, everyone's beating each other. Everyone's taking points against off each other than Qatar, in which they're in a real tough game at this current moment against Argentina, trailing 2-1. So whoever can start to make just a little bit of an inroad, maybe pick up a couple of, I think, draws in this group. The entirety of the Club World Cup, we said you don't want to draw. Draws could be important here in Group A.
Yeah, only 2 points, I think Rich was alluding to there, separate 1 to 5 in Group A at the moment. Tight in that group, Alex. How's it looking in yours at Group B?
Yeah, we've got multiple different games going on. The game on screen right now, though, Netherlands and Denmark coming up to the half-time position, which Netherlands, we said about that change that they have, they'll be sitting top of that group, and Denmark, well, it's a different story. They started the day off strong, and they are falling down the pecking order in Group A. Anders and Marcuso, the quality we know, we've spoke about it, we don't have to pick up Anders any more than we have already, as Netherlands looking for that last attack in the 45th minute. Can they double their lead? Some fancy footwork.
And it is a bit of a slippery slope when results start going against you and you are picking up a loss and then you pick up another loss. I mean, Footwiz was a perfect example. They won the first 3 games, you pick up 9 points, then you lose the next 2 on day 1 in the group, and you come out of the tournament thinking, well, we got 9 points there, but we could have done more. Like, 11 sounds a lot nicer than 9 out of the day. And it looks a lot nicer as well. 11 points, you're pretty much through. No one went through on 9. So it is those real small margins and the split-second decision making that will separate going out in the groups and going through, as Italy with this duo that started the day, ending the day in fine form.
Fantastic, just shimmy to get that little La Croqueta into the shot to change the angle. Vinicius was almost facing back towards his own goal there. However, not too tight of an angle for the man to just find the way past the goalkeeper. And that puts Italy into that convincing position, 3-1, 3 points on the board, which was needed. A chance, one more from maybe a fourth. Good tackle coming through there, Brandon.
They'll be happy with that as well, Alex, won't they, after what was been a bit of an up and down, topsy-turvy group stage, to say the least. And then when you're scoring goals like that and you're pulling off skill move runs like that, it just goes to show confidence is oozing.
And you're also beating your closest competitors. You're beating the people around you. That's the most important thing.
At times today, it's like Italy have been playing musical chairs. Up, down, change, here, everything. Danny Pitbull and Catchy, though, looks to be, as it stands, their duo which maybe they'll go into tomorrow with, which for Oberon, fantastic FIFA players. Mbappe comes through. A big slide tackle from Martinez. For Oberon, that's got to be tough.
It's tough, but I think he understands the process as well. Look, coming into this one, I spoke to the Italians this morning. They said that's our starting team. Catchy and Danny Pitbull is our overall most balanced team. If we want to be more offensive, Danny Pitbull comes out, and it's Catchy and Oberon. We can still see that. And what we know from the Italians, Alex, is look, they're happy to change it.
And they're also probably a team that are used to it as well in their home league, in the East Serie A, in their playoffs that they have. They have that 3-man roster where they then do have to change and have to play with different teams. So it's not like they're not used to it already.
And Oberon, he's also mature enough to know that, okay, this is best for the nation, this is best for the team. I'm happy to sit back. Denmark and Netherlands, a change was made with the Netherlands. Levi de Waid comes in, and they have been incredible since that change came.
I have to agree, Rich. I think the key thing that we're looking at are maybe the Netherlands and Italy. There's no egos. You know, everyone's on the same level. We're all superb, and we're happy to change. If it means that we win games and we get through to the knockouts, we don't care who's playing.
Is it even more important as well when it is your country on the line? Are you wearing that jersey? I know the club is super important, but when you're playing for your home nation, Rich.
And this also is very important, as you see France getting one back here too. France is another good example to add to my point, where the coach has a bigger responsibility to change things up. When you look at the nations that we just spoke about there, Italy, Hollywood, happy to make the change. Lorenzo with Netherlands, happy to make the change. Brian with France. These coaches will happily put a player to one side, put an ego to one side and go, stand down for now. These two are going to do it. These two are going to take the responsibility. And, I mean, that's what the coach is in the team for.
They would have had those conversations as well before they got here, of course. They would have said, this is our A plan. If it doesn't go to plan, we're going to go to B and C, and that might mean substituting some of you guys. So it's not like this is the first time they've heard they might sit on the back bench there and just wait for their time. Well, let's go back then to the locals. Saudi taking on Canada. We had that pause, so still a little bit of time in this matchup as Canada try and get themselves back in it. We said it was close, but they still need to keep up with the rest of the pack here and not have a bit of a gap emerge between 4th and 5th.
Yeah, well, speaking of that group, we heard there's a full time in Argentina did beat Qatar 2-1. That means that Qatar's day one is done, 1 point from 15. Let's head over to the United States of America matchup against Malaysia. We said how important this is. This is a ridiculously important matchup for the sake of getting out the group, and it's the USA that have scored probably one of the most important group goals on the 40th minute.
Maybe then a bit of a pause for them, an extra bit of a pause. We know we have a pause between matches 3 and 4. Gave them an extra chance there as they get another one in, Alex.
That right there, to have that ability, your teammate is looking for that cutback. He's saying, okay, you're going to pass that ball across to me. No, instead the US just choose to go with a player on the ball that was R9. Have that confidence in yourself. Look, they might not have been getting the results so far, but that there shows we know what we need to do to win games, and that's just trust yourself in that ability. Lamps and CJ, that's a fantastic finish.
And maybe
King CJ the catalyst they needed to potentially get some points on the board. Another change that's come in.
I said to Mike, though, didn't I? Was he on the team? He went, no, I went, well, he should be.
A team that's not changed anything so far are Denmark. 67 minutes on the clock, finding an equaliser against the Netherlands. But yeah, really interesting game, USA and Malaysia. It's also the game that's got the most time left on it. They were the slowest to get back underway, so only just started the second half. I'm sure we'll end this round with that fixture as Denmark and Netherlands both scrapping for points here in Group A. Every point matters.
Someone else that's scrapping to top the table. It's over in Group B, Morocco against France. Morocco were leading the game, as we know. France did get one, but they've also got a second as well. It makes it 2-2 now between those two teams battling to end day one, top of Group B.
It's amazing what one goal can do for you to put yourself in that lead. USA went 1-0 up. Well, since we've been gone from a few minutes, it has now switched over to 3-0 against Malaysia. That is our game that still has plenty of time remaining on it. The US, Richard, they're feeling confident in what they've got.
I was going to jump in there sometimes as well, Alex, just to get a few more goals as well. We know how important they might be tomorrow. It's all right winning 1-0, but 3 or 4, if US can get a few more here, that goal difference will just change as well and could come in to be really important tomorrow.
Yeah, if they carry on going the way that they are, they'll be saying, can we carry on playing our games today? We're feeling good right now. We don't want to stop.
Surely you have to start tomorrow with that duo as well. You were thinking with CJ and Lamps picking up where they left off. Morocco and France. Morocco are leading 2-0, but France have been on the resurgence, it has to be said, in the second half and looking for a third goal. It's all France at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks to be that way. Morocco looking to change the tide, though. Full-time result just come in. It's Saudi Arabia 1-0 win over Canada. That's Canada and Saudi Arabia done for group play in day one here. Big 3 points there. Although that Canada might be sitting in 5th, there is a gap between them and Qatar. They're still very much in the 4-horse race for a spot in the knockouts. We'll jump back to this one. Denmark-Netherlands. If these two do share a point, it will shake things up even more so in Group A. Last 6 minutes to find a winner, maybe. The Netherlands on the hunt for it. Handled well there by Marcuso and Anders. An unchanged Danish side so far.
Maybe they want to just see how day one goes here. And then I'm sure the team will have a little bit of a discussion tonight and see if, well, if they finish like this, it'll be 8 points. 8 points is enough. That'll be 16. That would take them through, I'm sure, of what we saw last week. But then they start to look at who they'll be facing in the knockouts and see if they switch up. So we've had a change, Rich. He's having a little look behind us in the pods. What have they done?
Yeah, so the reason that Denmark maybe got back into this game, it was Houston brought in. He's only played maybe 45 minutes, but you can see him there ending the day in the pod alongside Anders Vergang. Just food for thought potentially as well. Get him in the pod, getting some gameplay for today and maybe start to see that duo play a more pivotal role heading into the knockouts if Denmark are there.
Will you just talk about it for a second as well? How hard that must be just to be dropped into a game. Round 5, you've not played a single match in the group stage. Back to goal here for France, looking to grab a last-minute winner. It sounds crazy, but you are going in cold. After 4 rounds of FIFA, you are going in cold. 38 minutes, you're dropped into the last match.
It takes you about 10 games to get used to champs, doesn't it?
And the rest.
But they should have something in this like they do in football matches. We see, don't we, the players warming up before they go onto the pitch. Here, do they do any kind of hand movements? Brandon, what do they do? Do a couple of squats in the pod to get ready?
I'd love to see Houston running around the stage trying to get warm, but...
It would be quite funny if they had a little bit of something like that, wouldn't they? A couple of warm-ups before they jump out there.
Well, we were mentioning how the United States were looking so strong with that 3-0 lead. Malaysia say we are going to fight for this with 30 minutes remaining. And they pulled it back to 3-1. 69 minutes on that clock. Malaysia, a massive, massive task on the hand to try and get that 2-goal deficit back to that 1 point altogether. The USA need this win. So do Malaysia, both of them near that bottom end of the table. However, it has been the USA with CJ and Lamp so far.
Yeah, still enough time though, Alex.
There's plenty of time on the clock, plenty of time.
Well, it gives us a good chance, though, doesn't it? Because this is the only game to conclude, and then it's all done in Group A and Group B from day one of the group stages. Massive win for United States. Puts them on 4 points now. Malaysia will be on 2. Whoever loses this game, it's going to look like a really difficult day too.
And it really will show that mental strength of Lamps and CJ. They've not been in this position today. They've not had a good day so far. You find yourself 3-1 to the good, knowing how much you need these 3 points for day 2 to give yourself that chance. CJ, though, DC United, their day 1 was questionable. Day 2, they came out, they got the results that they needed to take them through into that knockout. I'm sure CJ's saying that to Lamps, saying, look, I'm in the position now, we can be here. Fiddle, yep, gone out onto that bench on that change of the substitution that we saw. Let's do what we need to do. Let's get these 3 points, let's defend this lead, and give ourselves that good shot tomorrow. USA just going short from that corner. And for Malaysia, you're thinking if you are going to pull that comeback, you'll need a goal in the next 5 minutes.
Whoever wins this game, you leave the other behind, more than likely, coming into tomorrow as well. Whether it is the USA picking up 3 points, you close the gap on Finland, then you're only a point behind, and you're probably battling for 4th. If you lose this game, yes, it's still mathematical on the cards tomorrow. But mental-wise, confidence-wise, momentum-wise, you're ending the day with what could be regarded as a must-win game, not going your way. So it will be a big hit to the morale. I think for the United States, making that change, bringing CJ in, not only have they performed better, but also, I mean, it just looks like the vibes are better as well.
Also, we have to give credit to the USA. What they've done so far in this game, since it's been 3-1, is just making it so difficult for Malaysia. The ball goes out for a throw-in, goal kick, offside. They're just taking 6-7 seconds each time, and it's just making it so difficult for Malaysia to get into these sort of positions regularly enough. And that's showing the class that we know Lamps and CJ have together.
Well, and CJ, remember, he played last week, so he is familiar with the setting that he finds himself in here. And he did get his team through, didn't he, to the knockout. So he has the experience over the other two. And maybe that's kind of helping him now. Just get USA a little bit further up the table as we round out the opening round of fixtures here for A and B. Almost done then in this matchup. We'll just watch the clock run down then here. It's going to be a massive, massive moment for USA, picking up their first 3 points then of the tournament and of the day. Well, let's jump then down to Spen, who is with the Netherlands. That's back over in Group A.
I'm starting off with France. I'm going to go and talk to the Netherlands after that, but I'm with the coach of France here, Brian. Unbeaten in the group, along with Morocco, the 2 unbeaten teams. You just played them, and you managed to come back from a losing position, which always feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, always feel good. Bit disappointed with the first game against Finland, where we gave them a goal in the last minute after a bad mistake. I think 13 points would have secured us the qualification, but, well, I guess 11 is okay, first place, so we will try to keep it up tomorrow.
Were you surprised by the fact that Morocco are up there with you? You know, or were you going into this thinking they were going to be a strong side?
Actually, no, I'm not surprised. We know very well Marwan, which is playing in the E-League One. So we know him very well. We know he's a very, very good player. And if he's bench, it means the 2 others are better than him. So we know they're a good team, and no, we are not surprised of their performance today.
As E-Nations is still a very young tournament, you know, you guys are one of only a few teams that have ever won it. How much are you motivated to be the only team ever to win it twice?
Well, actually, I'm more motivated to make Leandro, Diogo and Fuma win than take a second. I mean, a second, a third, a fourth, like, it's a title, but I would like to win with them because last year we lose in the few last minutes against Brazil. It was very disappointing for them, so I would like just to how can I say it? Show the pass to them to the title.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, Brian. Of course, France being the losing team in the World Cup final as well. I'm saying that quietly until I get far away so they can't get angry with me. But they might want to avenge that loss as well. Coming into the Netherlands booth here, who have had a very solid group stage, I would say. Lost the first game, bounced back with a win, a draw, a win, and another draw. You're currently joint third with the Danes. You've got Saudi Arabia just ahead of you in second, and you've got Argentina top of the group. What can you do tomorrow to climb up that leaderboard a little bit?
I mean, we just have to start a bit better, I guess, but that's going to be a very important game against Canada.
I think we just lost him there, so sorry about that. But Renzo just saying, well, I think we need to start a bit better. Well, they're sitting in third, of course. Well, let's just come back in here while we see if Sven can potentially go back down with the Netherlands guys. Mike's joining us again. Mike, USA really bouncing back now, sitting in 5th position. So much more going for them. I'm sure they want to continue tonight. They can't. They have to go and reset and come back tomorrow. But a massive 3 points there to end out day 1.
And I've wanted to be optimistic, but I think the inevitable happened where you have CJ subbing on. CJ, Lamps, both been 2 of the prominent players coming out of the US. Fiddle has great past history, kind of being Captain America in some ways. But if you're looking at the last couple years, he hasn't had those same results, the same success stories, especially this year. So I think that was a good change. Getting that result versus Malaysia, huge for us, and it allows us to kind of re-up for tomorrow. I will say this, a couple of the games, we did have some bad bounces, and then we let it get carried away. So defensive errors, some bad bounces. I'm sure the guys will come in very motivated. And I think the 4th spot is up for grabs. I really feel that way.
Yeah, it totally is. It gets really close, doesn't it, when we go into day 2. We saw that last week, of course. Well, Sven is back in action. His mic's working. Sven, take it away, take 2.
Thank you. Yes, back with Coach Renzo. So, as we said, joint third going into tomorrow. If someone had offered you that at the start of play today, knowing that there's so much still up for grabs in the second day, would you have taken it?
I mean, we would have taken 8 points, which we're at, because I've discussed it earlier, and I was like, 8 points would be decent, but in the end, we felt we could have won against Denmark. We were way better, I guess, and yeah, then it's still a bit tough to take. But 8 points, sitting third, still good.
And your role as coach, how easy is it working with these 3 players and having to make those difficult decisions, you know, as when you change things and who comes in?
I mean, it was pretty easy because yesterday night we just talked it through, like different scenarios, and we're all prepared if somebody's not playing that well or if there's a mistake or something that happens that could put your confidence at danger, then we just substitute. And that's what worked today, but hopefully tomorrow we don't need to substitute.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Doing very well in a difficult group. I still think there's going to be a lot of movement in that group tomorrow as well. Probably 1 spot up for grabs, you'd still say, whereas Group B, much more open, I think. Back to you, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, Renzo not giving much away there. He kind of seemed on the fence with his results on day 1, 8 points. I'm not sure he was totally happy with that. Maybe he wanted a little bit more out of the opening day. Let's have a look then at who else scored, how many points in Group A and B. So Argentina then finished day 1 with 10 points. Saudi on 9. We just heard from Renzo there. 8 points for them and 8 points for Denmark. They drew, didn't they, in that matchup when they came up against each other. Canada then with 5. They're still very much in it. One of those big teams there, unfortunately, will go home. Remember, only 4 go through. Qatar on 1 point to end out day 1. Group B, then we heard from the French team, 11 points, as a Morocco there. Italy on 7, Finland 5. Started really strong, didn't they? Getting that draw against that French side. USA really bouncing back. 4 big points on the board there. And Malaysia in 2. Mike, I'll come back to you because we didn't get your opinion on this. The fact that Denmark there switched their roster slightly. 45 minutes on the clock and Marcuso jumps out for Houston.
I'm not reading too much into it, as the groups have kind of delivered. For the most part, I don't think we've seen any massive surprises. When I look at Group A and I look at Group B, especially with Group B, the front 3 there, you always thought that would be the front 3. The ordering, sure, you could negotiate it, you can maneuver it, we could discuss it. Maybe a little bit surprised by how well Morocco played, but I always thought that it would end up being the Italians, the French, and Morocco kind of leading that group, even though, you know, I have my USA a little bias that I want to kick in there, and I think the 4th spot's still open. But so far, this is not uncharacteristic between the two groups, in my opinion.
Morocco, maybe the kind of big story of the day, performing really well. None of us, I don't believe, on our little predictions had Morocco topping the table, and they're right up there with France.
They've probably done enough to just see themselves through into the knockouts. Now it's just about going out, playing for seeding, and having that confidence. And Mr. Dory says he wants that baguette. If they put that day in again, on day 2, he'll be getting more baguettes.
More baguettes. Well, Italy are bouncing back there. You just threw me with bringing back the baguettes there. We're making a sandwich again here. Group A, Argentina. They are a little bit shaky to start with. Rich, I always have to ask you about Argentina, but in Argentinian fashion, top the table with 10 points.
Yeah, I just think they're such experienced customers. Nicholas and Mateus, the first game, 2 penalties conceded. How many other nations bounced back and, I mean, it didn't really get rattled, just got their head down, picked up results, a couple of 1-0 wins, just sort of got through the games. And this was the big thing for me. If they get through with the groups, cards have gone flying, they will progress through. And once they get into the knockouts, they go from maybe 6th or 7th favourite to 1st or 2nd favourite for a lot of people here.
Yeah, they can become a different team, can't they, Argentina? They've got that much quality in their side. Canada, I'll bring that in a minute, but I want to get to some of the big goals. Mike's already had maybe his favourite of the tournament. I hope it makes it into our top 5 here. We're about to find out. Let's have a look at some of these. Brandon will come and bring you into this as well. Saudi-Denmark. Take it away with some of the goals we're getting to see here.
Yeah, it's just perfect, isn't it, in the box, timing it green. And I just want to have a quick word about Saudi Arabia. I feel like they've been the silent mover. We knew that they've got 2 fantastic players, but in a group of death, 9 points, I believe, they're out of 15. They picked up a handful of big results. What a goal that one is as well from the Netherlands when they finally got moving on the edge of the box. That Group A is certainly been moving, and I think the Saudi Arabia we have to keep an eye on. Probably the pick of the bunch, Kevin De Bruyne. We know he's got incredible long shots. That one flying into the top corner. But the best of the day, is that the best of the day?
I like it. Maybe I'm just guilty that I'm biased towards these long shots. You give me a couple long shots, it gets me excited. I'm moving, I'm grooving, I'm standing, I'm sitting down, I'm talking about it, I'm shouting, I'm sending group text messages. I got a lot of wordplay that I can include on this, but that's just that's my bias.
And also, did you notice the knockdown from Savic?
I did notice I wondered why you got so excited. Now I understand. I understand it all. I see your picture.
Long throw in into the knockdown, it works.
It works every time, doesn't it? Alex loves a bit of that. Right, let's move it on to later on today. We come back and do it all again. This time, Group C and D. C, guys, is just as stacked. Spain in there, defending champions, Rich. Brazil, Portugal as well. Australia, they could be in with a shout too.
Yeah, Group C on paper is probably the quote-unquote group of death. Spain, Brazil, Portugal, 3 teams that you expect to go far. Australia, the wild card as always, and Turkey, the team that knocked England out to qualify for this tournament. Just a really, really unpredictable. That's the word to describe that group. Anything could happen.
Group D as well. We can't write out the nations in Group D there, Brandon. Talk us through a couple of the names we're going to get to see. I mean, Israel, one of a few there that could go through to the knockouts.
I think they definitely will go through Israel. You look across the board as well. Germany, they've never really had a great E-Nations, have they? You look at the quality that they've got coming from Germany, but they haven't delivered in past years. They were grouped in FIFA 19. Wasn't the best running last year either. They've got a point to prove. The Swedes keep out with them, for them in this tournament. And then India, South Africa, all have got a really good chance of going through. There's going to be an upset in that group.
Well, we've got that to look forward to a little bit later on, because us 5, I've forgotten myself. I'm sitting here as well. We get to come back, don't we, in about an hour's time as well. So we kick things off again at 10 to 8 here in Saudi. So set the clocks wherever you are in the world. Group C and D, we get to see Brazil, the defending champions, in action. And Umit as well for Germany. He obviously got another World Championship under his belt just a couple of days ago. And then a couple of people's picks here on the couch. Spain, they all go a little bit later on this evening, so do come back and join us for that. We'll see you in a few hours' time. Until then, goodbye.